This is a clouds weather alert. Good Friday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud coming in the air right now with a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. We had one here as I was getting things wrote up there in the description, and we had a second one pop up toward the Thomasville area and Thomas County. So that's going to be kind of the focus here tonight. Unfortunately, granted, we will get into the formal show here at points. We will, eventually have time to permit, because we can go as long as we need to here with it. But we do have two severe thunderstorm warnings now as we're looking towards South Georgia. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I do, by the way, for Bradford High School football, I have my scarlet and gray tie on. We'll be getting to that game day forecast. We do have a chance for some showers and storms. It's still a little iffy, though. I'll have more on that in just a little bit. But we have these warnings. Grady County here, severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45, and Thomas County, severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45 p.m. Some damaging wind potential headed toward both Thomasville and Cairo. So again, we're going to have to be very mindful of the overall situation here over the next little bit toward those communities. Some damaging wind potential here as we look toward Thomasville and Thomas County there. And then as we get toward Cairo there in Grady County. So these are some pretty long fuse warnings going out for over an hour. There's been a bunch of warnings just north of our area this afternoon in southern Georgia, just all over the place. We just had a couple in our coverage area before these two toward the Jacksonville area earlier on this afternoon. They had a break in for. But these just popping up here, the Thomas County one in the last 5 minutes, the Grady County one just a little before that. Again, I see in the situation here evolve. We didn't see this stuff come in quite as quick as the accent could have there as we were looking at our Doppler indications saying, the warning to the north expired at 4:45, but seeing things come into play here in this 5 to 5:30, time frame now, and seeing the threat get toward the more populated areas, not just northern Grady County, where I'm going to put on some of our streets, by the way. We'll go ahead and go to our street level mapping, and you'll be able to see here as we get toward areas that are around Capel, Acreage, Spence there. We have this accent headed in toward the Cairo area there, in toward Grady County. Some of these areas are brighter green, indicative of stronger winds. You see in toward Thomas County there around the Dawesville area, around the Pasco area. Again, just trying to be very mindful of things here meteorologically. Again, just trying to update the very best I can on this overall scenario. I know we've had a warning to the north there in toward parts Mitchell County, but then in toward parts of Grady County. This accent coming on in. I'm going to check some of our different tools here in the toolkit. Look at some other sources here. This warning for Grady County is for severe thunderstorm moving south at only 5 miles an hour. So very slow mover here. Just got to watch out for some of that flash flooding potential even as this moves. It's so slow. We did have a warning earlier on in north South Georgia further up north of our viewing circle as we were looking, but 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail possibility here with this severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45 as we're looking at the overall scenario. Again, a long fuse warning, that slow movement here in the overall meteorology, the overall meteorological pattern. So we have Cairo there, we have a Wiggum, Acreage, Grady County Airport, a Moncrief, Capel, a Rocky Hill, some of those spots being impacted. I know it's a situation we have just so slow a movement, but also, you see Cairo here, of course, in our area. That's how you pronounce it, Cairo. But if you're like in southern Illinois, it is Cairo, and then it's Cairo for Egypt. I know I learned that, the part about Illinois, I know in my internship, it was 11 years ago up there in southeast Missouri, but just kind of interesting, the 3 different ways to pronounce something that looks the same between 3 different cities geographically. But it's in a tornado situation, so we can at least talk a little bit, off the cuff here in terms of some of the other topics. But you still got to take this pretty seriously. 100 lightning strikes even there in this frame in the last 15 minutes. So just whenever thunder roars, go indoors, obviously, as we look at the overall situation. So again, just trying to update you guys the very best we can. You have all this lighting here headed toward Thomasville and toward Thomas County here on Myrick Road and around, it looks like this is a different interesting name, Egg and Butter Road South there, apparently the name. I'm not making that up there. If you guys can make this out, I'll use our white pen here. It's this area right in here. They're getting some heavy downpours. So interesting names here on a Friday evening. I've never heard of that one before, but Egg and Butter Road, apparently. There's Egg and Butter Road South there in toward Thomas County with a severe thunderstorm warning in play here as we're being very mindful. I know we've had Storm Axe and just, the days kind of blend together here. Honestly, I mean, they have kind of all summer, to be completely honest, here the last few months, because we've been, with you through most of the weekends even, just trying to give you the very latest because we've had these warnings popping on up, and here we go. We had some this afternoon. Didn't take, a whole long while in terms of having to, have too much coverage, but now we have these two warnings here, these, two different areas of storm activity. So let me see if we have any questions, comments from the viewers here, though. I look at my monitor, I see the updates coming in over there, and then let me just see if we have any questions, comments. So I know, again, watching our graphics, but then, seeing Fire Larry Trains tuning in, Thomas tuning in, John B tuning in there, Jason Peter Doyle Adventures, there, Nick's there. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in here on this finally Friday. But unfortunately, we do have some, severe weather to get to. But, we do need to talk about some other topics here as well. I'm going to talk about the temperatures because that's a big deal for areas that are not getting the storms. It has been very hot, and that's going to be a big, big story as we look ahead in the timeline. We have had an extreme heat warning toward, areas of coastal southeast Florida and toward Tallahassee. And you see Tallahassee still at 97 degrees right now in toward Leon County there. That is a pretty big deal, as we're looking. I know it's not going to be long until it's time. I think it's next week. Let me double check this. I believe it'll be next week when the students are moving on in there at FSU as we're kind of looking at things in terms of the overall move-in time frame, and it's going to be hot for that. That's one good thing about being on the fly like this. Okay, actually, they started today, the move-in appointments, but for some, but it's something where it kind of staggered there a little bit. Let me just double check. That's kind of early compared to how it was when I was in school on campus. You start moving in on Wednesday. I mean, you can move in on the off-campus apartments there, obviously earlier on, but on campus, the halls for some started opening today, and then next week, watching there, that heat store to be an issue as well. So that's something you got to be aware of. I mean, just remembering, kind of thinking about this. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I mean, this was, a little over 10 years ago. My dad, who passed away 2 years ago at 85, he was helping me move in there in his mid-70s, and this type of weather would have probably been a little bit on the, edge for him. I mean, granted, he's in pretty good health then. I mean, really good health there, toward that 2012 to 2016 time frame. But, this type of heat, for the elderly can be dangerous here overall as we're kind of looking at things in the meteorological patterns. So, again, just got to be very mindful of the situation there. We'll go ahead and see those feels like temperatures, and we'll kind of throw that on up right now, and you'll be able to kind of see here what we're dealing with. I mean, 108 there toward Tallahassee is what it feels like. The heat and humidity combined there as we're all watching everything, 113 toward Cross City. So just got to be very mindful there as we're looking at the overall situation there as we look at the different data points. So again, you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. You can kind of see what we're dealing with some of these heat index values. These are, dangerous. We saw 120 earlier on toward Cross City, 118 toward Brunswick, before we had some storm formation in that area there toward Glenn County. So the heat is definitely dangerous here as we're looking at everything as we try to keep you informed. I see Danielle watching. Just appreciate you tuning in here as well on this finally Friday. As again, we're still watching, the temperatures. We're watching the storm activity. Let me go ahead and go back to these warnings here up toward the Cairo area and up toward the Thomasville area there. As we get towards South Georgia, you can kind of see here, just kind of updating you. You see this wind kind of coming in the north side of Thomasville now around the Dawesville area. You see around Old Albany Road, some stronger wind coming into Thomasville there in Thomas County. Quite a bit of lightning there on the Doppler view. As we look toward that area there, again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play there until 6:45 p.m. toward Thomas County. Again, we need to be taking precautions around Thomasville, inside and away from windows there. Inside and away from windows for sure is something you need to, be taking precaution from here in terms of, the damage and winds. That's the, threat here in terms of triggering the severe thunderstorm warning. And you have this one here to the west for Grady County here until 6:45 as well. I know the Thomas County one is the situation there. And by the way, Grady County got a report 40 miles an hour. There ambient states in there at a 5:34, but the Thomas County warning there is, for a severe thunderstorm that was located in Rock Lock near Thomasville, moving south at 15 miles an hour includes Thomasville and Boston and Ocklackney and Coolidge, Barwick, Thomasville Municipal Airport, Dillon, Everett, Patton, Easton, Merrillville, Chastain, Dawesville, Quality, Pasco, Metcalf, Hollis there. As we're just watching the overall situation, just seeing the progression is pretty slow. That one's moving to the south at 15. The one to the left is technically, according to the warning, moving south at 5. It's 60 mile an hour penny size hail for both on the criteria. Penny size isn't going to be quite severe, so the warnings are Royford, a 60 mile an hour wind, and you have this boundary here. You can kind of make out on here as well. That's kind of out ahead, and that's had some wind with it too on the periphery. And let's check the lightning count, because sometimes that can, let's have to check here, because we might have actually seen that kind of help strengthen some of this, because sometimes, ultimately things are weakened with the cooler environment around, but you got to go back a little bit further here. I mean, sometimes it can help trigger things. It looks like we kind of got some of the cooler air off the other storms kind of come in, the outflow bound, and trigger some of this. So again, just got to be very cognizant here as we're looking. Roy caused things to grow there in terms of the overall situation. So again, just trying to monitor things here. We're going to go back over to the Doppler. See some stronger wind moving into Hamilton County right now to the east. These are some pretty strong pixels, 44 miles an hour out toward the east there. But as we get on in here and towards South Georgia, we have these 2 yellow boxes. These are for severe thunderstorm warnings in play. As we're keeping you up to date, you can see we have US 84 area being impacted there for sure, as we have to be very cognizant just whenever, the storms, but also just if you're out and about. I mean, we do have the Kickoff Classic here in Bradford County. I'm sure a lot of other areas getting ready for high school football just don't want to be out in thunderstorms here for sure. Just, lightning can strike miles away from a parent storm, so you got to keep that in mind. Different places sometimes have different criteria, but like 8 miles within your area is a, pretty good criteria. I mean, I have my app gives you 15 there, the default, but, 8 miles is just something there that, is a good range to really be immediately taking precaution there if the lightning is in 8 miles. But, you can download my Cloud Weather app. It has the lightning alerts there. The Cloud Weather app there is listed as Cloud Weather, the Google Play Store there, in the Google Play Store, and then in the Apple App Store it's listed as KC Cloud Weather. As it looks like Jacksonville Weather Service just issued a warning. Let's see where that is. Let's see where that is now. Again, we had 1 warning when we were getting the stream description ready, then 2. And do we have a 3rd warning? We do. It's from Marion. We haven't even talked, Roy. There's so much going on. This is on our southern periphery now. We have this warning here toward Marion County, toward Ocala. So we have a severe thunderstorm down there now, potentially. So there's now 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. This one goes till 6:30. So again, we need to be very mindful here of what's going on with the overall pattern. I mean, we're seeing I'm getting a pretty strong signal. My other source here is moving southwest at 5 miles an hour. Severe thunderstorm located near Ocala, moving southwest at 5 miles an hour. 60 mile an hour wind gust, quarter size hail. Ocala, Santos, and Ocala Airport being involved in this. So again, and this is including the I-75 corridor. So got to be mindful. Speaking of I-75, I have some of those Florida views over on this source. Let me see if I can get that Ocala one up here. I had some of the Florida ones ready to go over here. So let's see, at least where I can just do it from over here. So we're going to look. We're going to try to get a camera view there from the Florida 511 perspective here on this situation as things do evolve there. Just got to be really, really careful, obviously, with these type of inclement conditions. Just trying to get the best camera view possible. We're going to pull this one on in. Looking at the overall viewpoint, you'll be able to see some of the stormy conditions here as we're updating the very best we can. Let's go ahead and pull this on in now. I know just trying to inform you here. You can see I-75 a mile marker 348.7 looking up toward the north and west. It looks like here as I look, I'm double checking that. It's kind of hard to make out from my vantage point. You see the darker sky is kind of right behind me. This probably isn't showing the worst of the conditions, but definitely, still some pretty nasty weather. Let's go ahead and move away from this camera vantage point for now. I'm going to move away from that, and we're going to go ahead and see what else we can kind of come up with here. as I try to get the best angles here, the overall situation. It looks like a traffic jam. There's always a lot of traffic in toward Marion County and toward mile marker at 352, it looks like. And I know they're moving that camera around right now, Florida 511. So let's go ahead and show that to you. I know you can kind of see some of the darker skies for a second. They are tilting this around. So this is a live look here. The Florida 511 Department of Transportation camera kind of giving us some different angles. A lot of a backup, is, visible on this camera right now. I know it's kind of at their mercy a little bit in terms of where they're going to zoom this, but this is a live look here at the Florida 511 perspective. Right now, you can see it's a little blurrier on that, but just you can definitely see here all the backup here. Traffic's always kind of a mess down in that area there. Unfortunately, a lot of growth down there over the last, several years or so. But you can definitely see here just the overall situation. Look at that backup here, these wet conditions, maybe some type of accident mixing on in here with these inclement weather scenarios that are evolving. You see, it looks like maybe an emergency vehicle in there. It's kind of what it looks like, possibly. So just again, I need to be very mindful here. It's a Friday evening, people want to get home or go. Maybe they are, I was talking about college moving. Maybe folks are headed up towards some of the different universities toward Gainesville there or Tallahassee, UF, FSU to go get moving on in there. And unfortunately, there's, some nasty weather here in the vicinity. I know, not exactly sure which direction this is. Since this is looking north, I'm going to guess if that's right there, then we're going to say this is south, and this is for people actually going down maybe to USF or something instead. But again, still it's not going all that great in this direction, but a lot worse in that direction here as we keep you guys informed on the overall situation. So again, severe thunderstorm warning on Puerto Ward, Marion County here. As we update the very best we can. We also have the 2 in Georgia, so let's go ahead. We'll move away from this one for now. Go ahead and move away from this one for now here. And let's go ahead. I'll turn that off from over there so we can just get back into more of our Doppler tools here that we have in our toolkit. So again, I know I probably need to switch some radars around. Granted, we're just far away anyway on here. It's not showing a lot, but we have this storm here, in toward this area. That's definitely, having that potential with it. So far on the radar, there's not really good radar coverage down here, which always causes issues. Just it's hard to see stuff down there. Not that we're indicating any type of tornadic accident, but severe weather season, when we really get those lines, we really have issues down there because we're just so far up there, so high up. Let me go ahead and see how high this is. So we're at 9,000 feet up with the radar beam. So again, not what you want to see here, but it tries to help us out the best it can, but there's only so much it can do at that type of height here to give us an indication there is that hail potential though. So let's see some of that. We're going to go on over. We're just going to go ahead and go on over here. Try to get that up. You see some of that potential there. Again, moving southwest at 5 is what the Weather Service is saying as we look at the overall scenario. So again, let's go ahead and we'll kind of keep on watching the progression of things. Again, we have now 3 warnings. There was 1, then 2, then 3. Let's go ahead and see what we have here toward the north, though, with these 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, watching things very carefully. Toward Cairo and toward Thomasville. Looks a little weaker there. Let's see. Lightning count's going down some, so that's a positive trend, but still some gusty winds. Still could have some damage there, no doubt, around Cairo and Thomasville with some trees being knocked down. That's what a severe thunderstorm warning is all about. The potential for some trees getting knocked down in at least an isolated manner, here or there, with a gust of 60 miles an hour. So being that possibility, as we update you, I know. So far, Thomasville Airport, a gust of 16 knots. We had that gust of 40 there at Grady County. An ambient station there, 4 miles southeast of Peoples Still there according to Mesonet site at 534. So again, just trying to update the very best I can. Let me see if there's any more questions or comments here on this Friday evening. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in. Appreciate everybody trusting me here. Let's see what we have. It looks like we have Top Cat tuning on in. We have official RY Nirvana asking about, will Duval County see anything? Let me go ahead and look toward Duval County here, toward the Jacksonville area. It looks like I think about 16 people watching right now. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in on the different platforms. Right now, there's not much around Duval, but let's watch the angles here. I know we already had some stuff around Duval earlier on. We had some warnings. There were marginal severe thunderstorm warnings there, but let's, that could help with the environment. Let's look at, being a little more stable, but let's go ahead and look at the temperatures. You see 82 toward Jacksonville there and toward Duval County. As we try to keep you up to date there, 82, so that's a little cooler. Still could get some storms in there. The model, I'm going to show it to you, but I don't have a lot of confidence because it's not going to show it right. Though it was showing more than I thought it was going to show because HRRR had not been showing much at all here lately. Once we get into the actual event, it's actually showing stuff toward the Swanee River Valley, not so much toward Jacksonville, which would kind of make sense. But again, it's summertime stuff, and we have not had great model, backing here lately in terms of just the overall forecasting in terms of the parameters here with HRRR. We'll loop it through again since at least it's picking up on some stuff. It looks like, Live Oak area. That makes kind of sense there. Madison, maybe that zone, Lake City, some of these storms here, but it's not a surface thing. It's not clear cut here as we're watching things. I know since we have these warnings, these might go for a while. Let's get into a little bit of stuff I have in the other show. So we're, because I hate for people to watch and then not hear about their area. Granted, we do have these other storms popping up, Tallahassee, and that's really quick there with some of that development. And let's go ahead. I need to get some of them things here, but we're going to go ahead. You see how quickly things are developed around Tallahassee. Just whenever thunder roars going towards south side of town. You have this stuff here northwest of Mayo, around White Springs there. You have this storm around the Alachua area, just under severe limits potentially, with an advisory on it. So again, you see some burst of wind energy in there. As we're looking there just north of Noonanville, it looked like some of the worst of that. You have stuff in our southeast periphery there with some flood advisories in play. As we look down in here, so we'll have to see if we get any warnings down there. We have the warning for Ocala. We have the 2 in South Georgia there. Again, we're starting off here getting the description typed up. We had 1 and it became 2 at the time I started the stream. And now 3 severe thunderstorm warnings on the board here on this Friday evening. But okay, so we're going to, since, we don't have like a tornado warning or anything right now, which we don't generally get this time of year anyway. Granted, I say that, and you never know what could happen with that boundary interacting or something. But let's go ahead and go into the show mode for a moment because there's a few things I need to show you for our Bradford County viewers. And this kind of applied the broad idea for other places. Granted, it's summertime stuff, not like organized stuff, so it's going to be a little different. But for our high school football forecast for tonight, Menendez at Bradford here, the preseason game, the kickoff classic. I have a 50% chance of rain at 7:30. Some lightning is possible, so we got to stay vigilant here with this. Again, that's why I have my scarlet and gray tie on here. I had it on Monday as well for Bad to School here in the county. The Bradford High School Tornadoes, that's my alma mater. Graduated there in 2012 from Bradford High School. Can't believe it's been that long. But anyway, as we look here at halftime, the rain chance at 40%, so it's an iffy chance here. It's hard to say, what's really going to happen here still. I mean, an hour and a half out. Just if you have lighting within, 8 miles, depending on the FHSAA rule. I think it's 8 miles in college. But, maybe a little different with the FHSAA. But, if you have lighting within about 8 miles, you got to take precaution. I believe Union County, actually, their league, they're not in the FHSAA for high school football anymore. So they are actually starting, I think, the actual season tonight, as far as I understand, because they had their preseason game last week. So that's kind of interesting there toward Lake Butler. I'm not sure that's home or away, but, still a game, that people are at. That can be dangerous with the lightning. We don't want that to happen, obviously, here, the electrical nature of things. But, even if the game doesn't count, or, like here at Bradford tonight, for the game in Stark, still got to be mindful. We want to have a good time. We want to try to enjoy things the best you can, but we do have to take precaution here when the time does arrive here, if that time arrives. Let's hope it doesn't arrive here as we're looking at the overall situation. So, again, just appreciate everybody tuning on in and trusting me here. I know we're just trying to keep everybody safe. Trying to get all this stuff in there. So, looking at my alert board, just, kind of busy here on this Friday night. Never a day off, I guess, here in the Weather Center. I wish there would be some time. There will be eventually, as we look ahead more towards the weather season. It'll be more like once a week or something, probably on average, give or take, with our event. But they'll, be sometimes a little more higher impact, sometimes not much at all with them, with boundaries, with, fronts and the like. But Again, I just trying to see if there's any more questions, comments. Don't see anything right now, but just appreciate everybody tuning on in. Trust in me here. You see, for tomorrow, there is a formal risk of severe. We didn't have a formal risk of severe for today here, but you see part of our area under that formal severe weather risk for tomorrow. So definitely trying to be very mindful of that. We're just trying to be very mindful of the scenario. I know on Sunday, the risk, well our north as well, in terms of the formal risks, but doesn't mean stuff can't happen. There's a tornado risk in Iowa today, southern Iowa, as we look ahead in the timeline, but no formal risk, but we're still getting warnings. So, we just got to take precaution here. Tomorrow's a little bit higher risk, but then also have the heat danger here that we've been following. We've been following for everybody here as well toward Tallahassee, toward Leon County and Jefferson and McCullough, and toward Camden County, and then up toward Glenn County. I know. So just got to be very mindful. I know you see those through today, the one to the north through tomorrow, as we're looking to see some, offices, Tallahassee, Jacksonville extend things. I know Jacksonville office, there were some issues last night. The storm went around, that area there, went through that area at the Jacksonville International Airport, where the weather service is in that vicinity, and the weather service in Jacksonville ended up, having to have operations taken over for a little while by the Tallahassee office. That didn't happen very often. The last time I can remember that happening off the top of my head, there were some, I think maybe power issues back then, and it was during Helene in 2024, but nothing like that in terms of the overall meteorological impact. It's just, things can happen at certain spots here. I know Tallahassee was still putting some stuff out early this morning there for the Jacksonville office with the forecast discussion and stuff. I believe it's Tallahassee the first backup for the Jacksonville office, and Key West is the second backup, the best I can remember, if things go wrong here in terms of, got to get the warnings out no matter what here, even if there's an issue at the actual site, that normally does it for our counties, toward the east here. So again, just looking at my little board, looking at everything the best I can here at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and go back to the Doppler. We have the severe warnings here on the board right now. Let's go ahead and get back on in here. We have 3 of them on the board. So let's go ahead and jump back on in. You see advisory toward Tallahassee now, by the way, until about 6:30. Some gusty winds possible there. Severe warning for the Cairo area till 6:45, though. As we get in toward this zone, you see some of this wind enhancement in here. 26, 23. You see toward Thomas County here. You see 30, but again, it could be a lot stronger than that down toward the surface with a burst of wind energy. Let me see what the airport, Thomasville Airport, still only showing there. Last reading was a little earlier, but only 16 knots, which is good, obviously. That's what we want to see. There's also a warning west of area around Dothan. We're not too concerned with that right now. I'll zoom out on here to show you, but that would probably be more of a southerly type of track there, I would think. I mean, there may be a little easterly component. We see advisory down there, just that general area. That looks off toward our west with that threat, but again, you see a lot of lightning in here. This whenever a thunder roared, you got to go indoors, but nobody wants to be having a downpour anyway. As we're looking at the overall meteorology, the overall meteorological scenario here. So again, as we get into toward the Thomasville area, we get into toward the Thomasville area there in Thomas County. You see that lightning there. You see around 31 miles an hour with the wind. But let's get to street level here. We're going to get down into street level mapping. You see Campbell Street there. You see Law Street. You see Clay Street. You see McLaughlin there, Heights, Smith Avenue. As we update you the very best we can, just looking at things the best I can here with the overall meteorological picture. But you can kind of see here, you see the Boston community, you see Glasgow community there, some of those, different areas of the country, Montana and up in, up toward the northeast there, Massachusetts there. You're looking at just the overall situation with, those type of names involved. But no, these are the much smaller communities that have the same name in toward Thomas County in Georgia. So again, severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45. Let's go ahead and we have the warning toward the south here from Marion, around Ocala. Let's watch the loop here. Stuff just hanging around the north side of town there. Let's get down to street level over here. Let's get down to street level over here. You see 33rd Street, Anthony Road. Oak there, the Oak community. Again, some of that's getting up further up in toward Marion. Again, I'm just trying to keep you informed here. Let's check power outages. Go percentage by county here. Some out toward Thomas and Grady, where we have this severe thunderstorm warning, not so in Marion yet, but generally, I mean, we have outages down there that come out pretty quick because pretty rural in parts of the county. It's a lot of trees there and the like. I mean, it's the horse capital there as we're looking toward our local area here, our 38 counties. So again, Marion County, the Ocala area, but again, I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the overall situation. I'm just trying to keep you guys informed. Now, let's go ahead and we'll zoom back over to the other viewpoint here. Let's go ahead and get back into velocity mode. You can see here on the wind, you can kind of tell here some of this in toward Thomas County, in toward Thomasville there. Thomasville, that community there. Thomas County. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now till 6:45. Again, looking here at the very latest information. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments from any viewers at home here on this finally Friday. I just appreciate everybody tuning in. Looks like 12 watching right now on YouTube, and we got 1 over on Twitch. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in. Again, I just trying to keep everybody informed the best I can here with the overall meteorological picture. And the warning from Marion goes until 6:30. Let's go back toward Jacksonville here. We're going to look over here now. I know we had that question earlier. Will Jacksonville get anything? Right now, again, they're a little bit cooler, a little more stable. And my guess, I would lean no, but I'm not going to rule anything out, especially this time of year here with the overall pattern. Tomorrow was kind of saying, again, going against it. I kind of would go against it, but weird things can happen in summertime. So, still a possibility there toward Jacksonville. We're still in summertime with all these hot temperatures. I did have an chance to update our 7-day. I'll see the other 7-day with the, it's really day 8 on there, but we'll do it here to this. I did go down just a little bit with the highs, a little more rain. Some of these days here can help, but the heat index is going to be way high because of all the moisture around. So this is that latest 7-day, with through really starting today. I'll see the other version of it later when we get through all the graphics, but I just don't want people, I know it's a Friday evening, if you're not under a warning, you might want to tune out. I want you guys to just keep watching, but I understand, obviously, with the overall, just you want to try to enjoy things. If you're not seeing a warning, as I keep looking at my alert board, you want to see the 7-day, and it's going to be hot. I mean, maybe you don't want to see this. It's so hot. As we look at the overall situation here, you see a 97 towards Saturday, 96 towards Sunday. I mean, this is the sweltering. Sunday is the driest day of the 7 here, it looks like, with the overall situation here, the driest of the 7. With the overall meteorological picture. Technically, it's also just barely maybe the coolest. It depends on where you are, though, with that type of number. And then as I move on over, you can kind of see here 98, Wednesday, 97, Thursday. At least we're not watching the tropics. I know if you guys were following there on Facebook, Casey Cloud Reacts, Twitter /XCloudCasey. I posted an image last night of just all the videotapes there of old covers that I recorded when I was 10 years old of like the seasons, storms there back in 2004, that hurricane season, Charlie and Francis and Jean having that big impact. So, if you follow me over there, just give that a like there. Look at that image. I think it's like 15 tapes is what I counted there. Just, really, already interested in storm coverage way back then. And now, doing it here professionally to try to keep you guys safe and informed with these, broadcast level graphics here from Barron's. So, again, just trying to keep everybody safe and informed here on this Friday evening. Just trying to give you guys the very latest meteorological details here. And I know it looks like our frames are dropping occasionally. I apologize for that. I don't know why that would be, but, maybe if our traffic cameras are trying to stay running in the background here. Let me look. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in on this Friday evening. I know they've been doing some internet work around lately. We do have a little bit darker skies around, but, just appreciate everybody tuning on in here on this Friday evening as we're looking at the overall situation. So it's going between all my different sources here, making sure we're still on. I just want to make sure, everybody can get this with the warnings in play. We got to be very mindful here. We do have these warnings in play as we look at the overall meteorological scenario. Which I'll go back to the Doppler in just a moment. But again, just appreciate all the viewership here on this Friday. We have our severe thunderstorm warnings here on the board. We have Grady and Thomas and then Marion there. And, Marion in Florida, Grady and Thomas up in toward Georgia, Grady and Thomas till 6:45. Marion there until 6:30. That's the set expiration times for now. As we look at the overall situation. So just checking all of our streams. If we got something to escalate, I don't want to make sure we're still on with you. As we're trying to do the very best we can. It's just all about trying to be here for the viewer at home on this Friday evening. So again, let's get back over to the Doppler then. We'll get back over to the Doppler technology. We're going to, look like we had a little bit of a marker showing up here. Let's see what that was all about. And some interactions maybe going on here. Southern Putnam. Let's see, we had our barren systems kind of show some wind indicator, maybe some boundaries coming together. Maybe a little burst of wind energy. Hopefully it's not like a water spout situation, but right near the water, a lake here. So that's something to be mindful of. It's kind of on the edge of the radar, though, so it might just be a false signature. But, still there. Sometimes that can happen as we're looking there in toward, some of our areas are Southern Putnam County, that zone overall. So, again, I just got to be very mindful there, Putnam-Volusia line area as we're keeping you informed. But a little bit of weak rotation possibly. But again, we're so far on the radar, hard to say for sure. I know we have these other advisories, but you saw that one. You see the heat advisory to the south, and it includes us too. I just have some of it turned off because it's so hard to see if we had orange all over the board here with the heat advisory. But again, just trying to keep everybody safe. Gainesville, heavy storm in Alachua County. You can see right over town there. Just whenever thunder roars going towards right over the baseball stadium and the football stadium, it's still up in here as well. There you go. I need to change that before football season to make that one show up first. But you kind of get the idea here. That's the UF football stadium as we're looking at the overall weather situation here. Again, just looking through all of our different tools. I know there's a new warning west of our area. That's to Jackson County in Florida. That's west of our 38 counties. But again, let's go ahead and look here. That's, accent here. We have the boundary of special weather statements. This stuff in Grady County looks weaker. Around Thomas County here in Southern Thomas, we have some of this accent here around, it looks like, what do we have here? We're going to pull up here our other mode. Just trying to keep you informed. That's US 19. So just wanted to double check, as we're trying to look at our different roads here. Sometimes it shows some weird road numbers. I've been trying to work on some of that, but I wanted to at least tell you, US 19 here is what we're dealing with the overall situation here with the Doppler technology. But again, let's see what else we have here with the very latest. We'll look out of the Atlantic, and things look pretty good out toward the beaches right now. I mean, trying to enjoy things. It is warm weather, so some folks are, I'm sure, at the beaches. This is not the first thought here with the high school football getting going and the like and the storms to the west, but a lot of the beaches are actually staying pretty dry right now, which is good toward the east, but you see down toward like Marion County there, we have the warning. We have some more accidents in Southern Marion as we kind of keep you guys updated here on that Doppler. You see around Bellevue, some lightning, so definitely something to be cognizant of. That might get a warning of itself. We're just so far away on these radar scans. Okay, we've had quite a bit of damage north of our area here, where we used to cover up toward, Dougherty County there and toward Nashville, Georgia, Berrien County. The heat, still a story coming up, trees down there. And let's look at the power outages just to show you what some of our counties could experience here with the overall scenario. And you can already see it more in our counties here, actually. So let's see, 300 in Grady and 200 in Thomas, but 200 there. And then we had, let's see, in Dougherty County, 200 out. Let's get down toward the south, though. Taylor County, 100, 200 in Columbia County. So, again, just trying to keep you guys informed. Here we have these advisories at level below severe. 2 of those just in Alachua County alone right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if some power outages occur down in here. You see east of Micanopy. You see in northwestern Alachua County with some storm accent as well. So, again, just trying to keep you up to date here. Just trying to keep you informed. Just trying to keep you informed here on the Doppler. Trying to be here for you. Let me see if we have any more questions, comments here on this Friday evening. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in. AJ Watson from Tallahassee, appreciate you tuning on in. I just appreciate all the viewership here. It looks like we have 9 folks watching right now over on YouTube. So just appreciate everybody tuning on in on this finally Friday. But again, we have storms around. We're going to have that chance tomorrow. You saw the formal rest that I was showing you guys for tomorrow. Also, I tell you guys a different way. I'm going to see a couple of things here on the interactive mode right now. So let's go to day 1. You don't have the formal rest, but you know, we have the general thunderstorm, and then tomorrow we do have a formal rest though. And not for Sunday, you know, that's to be a drier day, but still a thunderstorm can't be ruled out, but it's a lower chance that day overall. But, you know, the models have had trouble. So just keep checking back to make sure Sunday doesn't change on us. Because, you know, on Monday, we were looking at Wednesday being pretty dry, and that changed on us pretty quick. So we just got to be kind of cognizant here as we look, as we update the very best we can. So let me see what I can go to now. I'm going to go to our hydrology mode. Let's go over to hydro. We're going to look at some of our rainfall accumulations toward, I know this is just a Jacksonville radar view, but at least, you know, getting that feedback on in. You see Marion County, a good bit of rain already, Putnam. You know, there's some flood advisories here as we look, you know, Palatka area up through Pomona Park, and getting here northeast of Crescent City around Andalusia there. Just kind of, you saw Crescent City there as we look there at the Doppler technology. But then I also want to go out in the future and kind of say, yeah, this will be kind of a broad brush about the next week or so with the overall rainfall forecast. So let's go days 1 through 7, the official forecast. I know late in the day it kind of gets a little messy here with this. So this probably is more Saturday through Friday at this point, but you kind of get the idea in terms of this. We're going to have to watch, you know, maybe a little more rain toward Jacksonville in a broad brush here, according to the official forecast from the Weather Prediction Center here. There to, you know, we have the Hurricane Center, we have, you know, the local weather service offices, Storm Prediction Center. Well, this is the government agency that deals with like hydrology here. For instance, one of the things they deal with and do, you know, is just like the excessive rainfall outlooks, the excessive, you know, rainfall mesoscale discussions, the rainfall forecasts like this one here for the country. You know, as we look for 7-day periods, there's different intervals. You can go to their website, Weather Prediction Center website. For some of that stuff, it's pretty, you know, interesting. They're not, you know, something we talk about a Hurricane Center a lot. The Storm Prediction Center a pretty good bit. We don't talk about a Weather Prediction Center that much, but they're another government agency that does a lot of great work, obviously. Of course, we talk about the local weather forecast offices quite a bit as well. We have 3 that cover our 38 counties. I mean, 37 and 38 are either Jacksonville or Tallahassee. Our Levy County viewers have the Tampa office, though, as we're looking at things here with the overall technology, the overall Doppler. I'll remind you guys of our 38 counties here real quick. Again, you know, so that, and you see Levy, that's part of Tampa Weather Service, but the other 37, you know, it's about half. I mean, I'd have to do the math on it, but, you know, Jacksonville's, you know, about half of these counties here as we look is Hamilton, Suwannee, you know, getting further east of Jacksonville, west of Tallahassee, and maybe a little bit different because, you know, I used to cover more of the Tallahassee counties up into Georgia than I do now. So Jacksonville might, you know, kind of, with the percentages, kind of outweigh more the Tallahassee number of counties now. But I mean, Tallahassee does cover all the way to Dixie and Lafayette there as we're looking at the overall weather picture. So again, just kind of, you know, trying to give you guys the latest, but, you know, like Dixie and Gilchrist and Levy, they all come together. Dixie is Tallahassee office, Gilchrist is Jacksonville office, Levy's Tampa Weather Service office there. Levy is part of the Gainesville television market there. Gilchrist is as well, but Dixie's more to, you know, that area there. I mean, where we're kind of, I mean, I guess it's still, I got to remind myself a little bit. I guess that's still, you know, Horseshoe Beach, that's Gainesville as well, but kind of getting closer to Tallahassee because once you get into Taylor County, that's Tallahassee all the way with the TV markets there. But again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the overall scenario. So there's some interesting geographical tidbits here on this Friday evening. Okay, getting some different updates in. I'm going to come back on camera now, and we'll go ahead and see what we can kind of come up with. Looks like Marion County, we had that severe thunderstorm warning go away. That's some good news. Let's go ahead and see what they're saying about that. It looked like some of the worst of the accident, you know, was kind of away from where the polygon, you know, was. This other accident kind of formed around, and the warning got canceled. So that's great news, obviously. But you got a lot of rain there. You got to watch out for some of these downpours right around 75 in southern Marion County, around Bellevue there to the east. You know, 75 is where that is more so. But again, just trying to keep you up to date. We're going to look here that we have our 2 remaining warnings here. Thomas County, That looks a little weaker there, to be honest. So that's good. So, I think it's time to go ahead and just get in the normal show. We'll go back and forth between this. We kind of already gave you a hint of the show a little, but I think it's time to go ahead and get in the normal show because, we may get more of these warnings here. We have to kind of go, back and forth. Maybe even get a flash flood warning or something because there's already flood advisories for like Southern Marion because we've already seen here. Let's see, it's going to be a lot shorter time than this, but let's turn the correct radar on for that. That's going to be your Jacksonville estimate, we'll say, and then you'll get in here and you'll see a couple inches at least, but that might be underdoing it a little bit there. Some of that, a lot quicker. I mean, more like, last hour or two in towards some of those different zones. So we'll go ahead and loop things. Let's go ahead and loop things over the last 3 hours. We'll do a 5-minute increment. We're going to turn the sweep off here. We'll go ahead and set this in motion. And you'll be able to see that we had a bunch of warnings just north of the area here earlier on. But yeah, just always interesting to watch how things pulse up, pulse down here meteorologically and the overall setup. So just kind of looping things over the last few hours. I know Flagler County, Palm Coast has kind of been right on the edge of some of this there. As we look down there, again, Ocala, Roy, seeing a lot of this. Gainesville starting to see more of this here as we watch the trends. We'll have to just see how this kind of affects Stark here. If things kind of encroach upon Stark or not. I mean, we did get a little bit of rain earlier on here in the overall picture, a little over 1/10 of an inch. But again, just looking here at all the different views of the Doppler technology. See, I had a flash flood warning there in Georgia earlier as well. I'll go ahead and click on it. It was in play until 5:30 north of our area. But again, just trying to update the very best we can. We're going to check questions and comments again, and then we'll go ahead and get into the formal show, I think. As I appreciate everybody very much, for watching here on this Friday evening, taking the time to tune on in as we give you guys the very latest information. So I'm just watching things for the 38 counties, just trying to keep you informed, trying to be here for you. Still got those 2 warnings technically for another 25 minutes unless they get dropped early for parts of Grady and Thomas there in the, near the top left of the screen. So we'll just continue to watch all the trends, obviously. Just continue to watch all the trends here on the Doppler, as the situation does progress. So just keep it tuned here. I'll be updating you. I'll be updating the very best I can. Just trying to keep you guys safe here, as the situation warrants, as, the different things happen here with the weather picture. So just going to go ahead and keep looking at things. Again, I'm going to go ahead and get into our other show now here. As we're at 6:21 p.m. on this Friday evening. So again, I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. So here's the high school football forecast again. I mean, it's about time to head on out if you're going out there for the kickoff classic there, the preseason game between Menendez at Bradford. It's at Bradford, Menendez and Bradford, here in Stark. And you have some storms possible, lightning's possible. It's 50-50. I know my app's going to look a little differently here. I'm letting it kind of automatically update it, but I created this one here directly. Just looking at all the different model guidance. It's a little bit tricky, with this. This is not, like later in the season, become a lot more defined. If there's a boundary, front or something coming in. Right now, it's just that hit or miss stuff. So again, that game's set to take place here in about an hour or so. We'll watch those different trends here with the Doppler technology, obviously. I know, at least we're not seeing tornado warnings like I see. It looks like Baltimore, Maryland / Washington, D.C. office has issued one up north. That's for the local meteorologists to deal with up that way. But again, around here we've had our severe thunderstorm warnings as we're updating the very best we can. Again, just trying to keep you guys informed. Just trying to update you here. You see by 10 o'clock, at least a little cooler, but look at that heat index at halftime. If we don't get the storms, I mean, we're at 84 right now here east of Stark. It's a little cooler than what I went with, but we'll see, just how the boundaries interact. I mean, it's always tricky this time of year because it could be a lot cooler than that if you get a boundary to kind of, come on through here. I was looking at the temperature on the uptrend earlier after but some rain come through, but this is all, very tricky here. But as we look toward tomorrow, there's a severe weather risk, a 1 out of 5. Or right, on the periphery, but granted, it doesn't take a formal risk to get warnings like we've had today. You see, it's our cutout, but you see our yellow even in South Carolina if you look real close up there. I mean, I don't have it set right to tell you this, but north of Columbia there, and then it cuts off because it's only set for a certain geographic reason, but it gets further north than that even with the overall setup. But yeah, that's our risk for our counties with our DMA cutout there. But again, we could get warnings further down here. We'll just have to kind of watch the overall trends here as we look at the Doppler and just to see overall situation. So again, we'll be watching things here, but that's where the best chance of storm action would be in theory here as we're updating you. But, the extreme heat still a storyline for sure. It's going to stay a storyline here as we look ahead. Extreme heat warning for Leon to 8 o'clock, Tallahassee, McCullough, Jefferson. We have some storms around that can, put a damper on that, which is good, but you got to watch out for that lightning. Just whenever thunder roars go indoors. And in Camden there, you see up to the north, they've already extended this, but in Glen, 12 p.m. there as we're looking for tonight indoor. The Brunswick area, they had a heat index of, I think, 118 earlier in Brunswick, 118, believe it or not. I'm going to keep checking my alert board just in case here to see our latest updates, but 120 toward Cross City area with the overall heat index story there earlier on, but right now it's 93 there. And we'll show you what it feels like there now. I mean, you saw the rain cold spots, but 113 is what it feels like in Cross City. 114 in Perry is what it feels like. The actual, that's the humid feel, the mugginess here, that swampy feel combined with the actual temperature. And then we're going to see the dew points here, the mugginess around that factor. I mean, it's not quite as muggy maybe Waycross, but Cross City getting into the 80-plus range. And then as we go ahead and look here at the wind gust, you can see some different spots a little higher based on our computer system here, some of these different estimates, in some of these spots here with the color table and the like. But let me check Homerville because I want to check this real quick here. Okay, we got a new warning for Tallahassee now, so we're going to have to jump away, but let me go back to the Doppler then. Okay, that's an estimate, I think, for Homerville. I'll have to double check how that's being drawn on up there for that. But you kind of get the idea. Some of these winds here, we have, for thunderstorms, you can get gusts up to 60 miles an hour. So, but we got a warning for Tallahassee. So let's jump it. Hadn't popped up on the other board yet, but let me go ahead and show you here on this board. So we have this severe thunderstorm warning now for Tallahassee. Let's get on in here. This is, that accident there in southern Leon. Though, let's see what they're saying because there's some stuff right in town there as well. It's all at 7:30 now as we're looking at the overall picture. So the National Weather Service in Tallahassee is a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Wakulla as well as southeastern Gadsden, getting into western Jefferson, northwestern Taylor, and Leon County until 7:30. So they're tracking the whole zone here with the overall threat. At 6:24, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 8 miles south of Tallahassee State College to 6 miles northeast of Woodville. They're nearly stationary. So that can lead to a lot of rain. This is affecting areas around Tallahassee, Woodville, Monticello there, Tallahassee State College, Florida State University, St. Mark, Midway, Crawfordville, Florida A&M, with at least the potential, with Doak Campbell Stadium there, again, the potential, Wakulla there, like Bradford, Cody, Shadeville, Leon Saints, Gaither Community Center, Wakulla Springs, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Walker Ford Community Center, South City as well. So let's go ahead and see what we have on the Doppler. Because of this boundary coming in from the north, I got to see how that interacts with things because that may, that may really cause some stuff to grow, quickly here. It's already growing some, but it also can cause things to weaken, but they have this warning out for another hour. We'll just have to kind of wait and see here. You see some stuff right over town with lightning. That is whenever thunder roars go indoors, and then on the south side of town, you see there getting into northern Wakulla under Vereen community. See them lightning, some heavy rain, a little more concentrated, but sometimes the view here, the Valdosta view says a little bit better. I think it's kind of getting going there, right over to Capital City. It's a Friday night. You have plans. Maybe just moving into town for college, and instead you have a storm there over town with some severe potential, maybe as things come together, but at least the lightning's already there. And you got to go ahead and take precaution here toward Tallahassee right now with a severe thunderstorm warning in place for the metro until 7:30. It's summertime. This happens a lot in summertime. I started off in Summer Sea 2012. We had a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings that summer. Almost every day I had to remember to have my umbrella around, but obviously didn't want to be out in a severe thunderstorm. Tried my best not to be, but it's a situation here as we're looking here at the overall technology. You just want to try to take precautions when you have this lightning around. Just whenever thunder roars, go indoors here for sure. So again, we're going to go ahead and look here at the Doppler. We're going to go ahead and continue to watch things here. Just trying to keep you safe. Just trying to keep you informed. Let's go ahead here. Again, watching that electrical energy. Just have to be, really taking that into consideration here. Whenever that electrical energy is around, you got to be really careful. I mean, I'm looking at a broader map behind the scenes, and Oklahoma, a lot of triple digits out there, and in North Texas, at least we're not getting that. Granted, it's, not as moist of a heat as we have, but their heat index values are still way up in the triple digits out there in the overall meteorological pattern. We're also going to talk about the tropics in Hawaii here as time permits. No continental U.S. threat, but there's a hurricane threat for part of the U.S. is Hawaii this weekend. So if you have relatives out there, interest out there, stay tuned for that information here. Granted, right now we kind of have to jump back and forth here between the SOWO and SunVerl warnings. Again, we have the stuff in Georgia doesn't look as aggressive anymore. The Thomasville stuff still kind of there as we look, but we have these heated bosaries. They'll keep popping up. They're never going to go away, I guess. Now, I mean, this seems like the way I said it 7 days earlier on. I'll show it to you again a little bit later on. They're just pesky here with this heat danger. In terms of these scenarios here, we're having to be very vigilant. Obviously, just wear light colored, loose fitting clothing as we look here. So you see that Wakulla and that Leon County line. Again, trying to watch things here. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning there. As you see some of this green and red here on the Doppler radar. Let me check something else. I'm just going to check something real quick here tonight. And I was going to see, I know it doesn't affect, our area directly, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they play in the preseason, and they're on TV in some of our area, but their game's up north. They're not in Tampa. So, hopefully, hopefully the weather's not affecting them up that way in toward New York against the Jets there. I mean, it's hot, but, sometimes you'll have weather delays down there. I was kind of curious. But again, just trying to look here because that affects, some different things here, like it's on in Tallahassee. I know, not in Jacksonville, but in Tallahassee, I believe. It's been over the years anyway, in some of the different stations. I can actually look that up. I mean, it's in a, really serious situation when I can look stuff like that up, but we still got to, take precaution here. It is, we've just had 3 months of this, so, we just have to take precaution here, though, of the overall situation. I don't necessarily see it listed for Tallahassee this year, but I'm not sure on that 100%. So, again, just trying to keep everybody safe and informed, though, as we're looking at the overall scenario. Again, trying to watch things there. Maybe a little burst of wind energy right into Ward Town. Right into Ward Town around Tram Road. Just trying to keep you guys up to date. Here again, we've been on a while here, about an hour, just trying to keep you informed on the overall situation. So let's see what we have. It's 6:24 is when this warning came out. So that's what's up on my alert board there. But again, severe thunderstorm warning around Tallahassee. Let me go ahead and see what else we can kind of come up with here. What we can kind of come up with here in terms of the overall situation. Let's look at the radar further east here. We've got to be a little bit mindful here in Bradford just to some of this stuff, on the periphery like this, because that's eventually going to become too close for the high school if we're not careful, even if it's not headed directly there. Let's measure that out. I mean, that's about 14 miles away right now. And it seems like we're seeing some formation up that way a little bit, so we're going to have to watch. I don't know the exact criteria on that, but again, I just got to be mindful as we're looking, we have other high schools, I'm sure, in action tonight too, with the kickoff classics. And Georgia, some years they start a week ahead of Florida, but not this year. It's next week for official, but in general, granted, here in Florida, we have some in a different league here, like in Lake Butler, they're playing not in the FHSA anymore. I think their actual games start tonight if weather permits. I'm going to pull up a covered map. I'm going to actually look that up real quick, something there on that. See where that game is, because we need to check that out for our Union County viewers. That's an actual game. scheduled here for tonight, as far as I understand, because they switched out of the FHSAA for this year. It's a home game against Lafayette there. So, from Mayo coming up to Lake Butler. And it's a situation where we do have some storm accent. They're kind of pretty close by. So, let's go ahead and kind of look here. Yeah, let's talk about Union County, west of Bradford here on this map. So, I'm just looking at the different vantage points here. You see this little boundary coming through over 84 right now. Gotta wonder if that's gonna start letting that stuff get going toward Brooker there. You know, just watching everything come together with that Gainesville heavy thunderstorm. Not severe, but heavy is a good descriptor of that right now. So let's get back into other mode, though. I know we're going bouncing back and forth. I mean, we talked about the wind gusts, but let's go back to this forecast again. I mean, this is something here where we're still holding it at 50%. It's still kind of iffy. I mean, granted, that might be a better chance than 50 of a delay because you get lightning within a certain radius, and then you do still have to delay here. So again, just trying to keep you guys informed here. This game scheduled to start in a little less than an hour. Menendez at Bradford. So again, we'll see if that ends up taking place or not, you know, at the start. Let me see if there's any updates from the high school here over on Facebook. We'll check some of our other sources here on the resource computer. Again, let me kind of see what we can kind of come up with here. We'll check Bradford football. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a new coach, first, you know, game here in the fall per se. It's not fall, but you know what I mean. In terms of, I know they had, I think, game there getting going right before the summer, you know, break, and now they're getting things going here for the month of, you know, August here. It's already, time's going quick, but again, we're going to have to watch the weather for this very carefully, as we are other games as well. Some are going to probably end up getting canceled just because of what we're seeing on the radar, depending on exactly where they are. I can't keep up with every single game, you know, in 38 counties here, especially in the preseason. But again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here on the overall scenario. So again, tomorrow we're going to watch that risk here, though. We're going to watch that risk here for some of that storm activity. You know, we have that potential there. As we're looking at the Doppler again, just trying to keep you up to date here on everything on this finally Friday. Again, just trying to update you here. Trying to, you know, just give you that latest detail on this scenario. I noticed look like a little bit, maybe might have lost a couple frames again. I'm not sure what's causing that. But again, I appreciate everybody tuning on in. We've been working our systems really hard here lately. But let me see if there's any questions, comments from anybody at the mobile office. This is just a warning. That shouldn't be anything we need to worry about. But let me just see where that is. It's out in south of Andalusia, Alabama, north of Crestview. So that's way to the west. But again, let's go ahead and we're going to switch on over here to the questions and comments. So let's see if we have any new updates here from this. Don't see anything over here. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in, everybody trusting me here on this finally Friday. Just, you know, really appreciate the viewership, obviously. Again, just trying to update the very best I can here. Let me go ahead and again remind you guys that heat danger here as we look into tomorrow. You know, maybe we won't have these again. We'll see. We have it for today. We have it for tomorrow up north. But, you know, we have it for today here for these areas. Granted, some areas have already got cooler air in there with the storm activity in the vicinity. And then as we kind of look at the current temperatures here, you see in toward the 90s in some spots, 80s in other spots, 70s toward like Putnam County there and toward the Palatka area. And then as you kind of look here, I mean, the heat indexes are still up there as well, though. And as we try to look at some of that information, you see 111 toward Cross City, 103 there towards Cedar Key, 108 Tallahassee. And then the dew points here, the mugginess, you see it's going to be very, you know, muggy here. It is now, but it's going to stay like that in the future as well. And we're just going to, you know, continue to watch these rain chances here now. Tomorrow, it's going to be, you know, pretty high, but on Sunday down a good bit. But then it starts to get more, you know, 30 to 40. Some of these days could go a little higher. Some maybe we'll get a little lower. We'll just have to kind of wait and see here As we look at things into the weekend, we're talking about on average here, still a good bit of rain for just a couple day period, mostly Saturday probably. Let's count some of tonight too, with the overall scenario. Stark Jacksonville there, as we look at the broad brush here of that, and we study the a little bit higher for the official 7-day rainfall toward Jacksonville. As I keep looking at our alert information again, remember whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors, like toward Tallahassee, with that severe thunderstorm warning. But at least we're not watching the tropics here locally for anything too crazy right now. We have a couple systems out there that have some odds of development. The next name on the list is Dollar. We had Cristobal there that went away pretty quick there to the north, so that was good. We have the orange area, you have the yellow area here. Chances of development east of Puerto Rico, or just west of Africa there. That's behind me on the map. We're just going to watch. We'll make sure nothing changes because the models have been, not really so much for the continental U.S. at all, but they've been kind of flip-flopping around. So we'll just stay vigilant, obviously, with this here as the situation does evolve. But let's go ahead and go back on into the analysis mode now because we do have storms, a lot of storms to track here. Gainesville, strong thunderstorm action there. We have the warnings back out west here toward Tallahassee in our area here. Again, just trying to keep you up to date. I mean, not quite sure why that Grady warning's staying on the board. Let me see what they've said about that. Okay, they probably just gone ahead. Yeah, they gone ahead and they said they're expiring at 6:45, and then the other one too, Thomas at 6:45. But there has been some damage into where Thomas County reported now. A power lines reported down 2 miles west of Dillon. They're at 5:54 in Ward Thomas County. So we still have the one severe thunderstorm warning past 6:45 here toward Leon County, toward Tallahassee, toward the metro here. Maybe a burst of wind energy. Ooh, I don't like that. That almost looks like rotation, but we're so close on the radar, you just can't, you don't know. So we need to stay with this a few minutes. Right over town, right east of the airport, around Ross Road. 44 and 20 there with some of that burst of wind energy, maybe Twin Oak Drive there into where Tallahassee, the severe thunderstorm warning, still watching the situation as it evolves until 7:30 p.m. Again, trying to keep you informed. Let's see if we can get some cameras up near the Tallahassee airport here. Gonna look at the other source. So let's see what we're dealing with here with the overall scenario. We're gonna go east of Tallahassee airport and try to get a camera up. And we have really, dark skies here. So let's go ahead. Lowering, maybe? Yeah, well, let's go ahead. Not anything too crazy, I don't think, but we'll watch it together here on the Florida 501 perspective. Make it where you Capital Circle, Southwest, and Spring Hill Road, Florida 501 perspective, what we're looking at. But again, you can kind of see here, just looking at these dark skies here near the Tallahassee airport. Just hopefully nothing, we have, it looks almost like rotation, but we're so close on the radar, it could just be a burst there, a downburst, a burst of wind energy down to the surface around Crossway Road there and Woodville Highway. So again, just watching the scenario, what camera direction is this pointed in? It is pointed so east-south. I'm just trying to see here. I can't really tell, maybe, as we're kind of looking there, just to maybe that means northeast, I'm not sure, but again, just trying to keep you up to date here on the overall scenario. So trying to read those directions from a distance, kind of hard to tell, but again, trying to keep you guys up to date here on the overall situation. So again, that's the camera view. Let's see if we can pull some more up here as I watch things. We're gonna see what else we can kind of come up with. Let's see what else I can kind of find here. We're going to go Capital Circle, Southwest, and Crawfordville Road. Pretty dark, sky, but they're actually under the storm. As we get over here, as we keep you informed. Again, you can see Capital Circle, Southwest, and Crawfordville Road. See the rain on the lens. I know that wind signal just went a little bit lower down with some of those colors just down to the east of the airport. But again, just continuing to track the overall scenario here meteorologically. So again, we have the severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30 p.m. For parts of Leon County. So again, I'm just trying to keep you informed here on the overall scenario. Again, we have this warning for another 47 minutes, it looks like right now, as we're trying to keep you informed here with the severe thunderstorm warning situation of Friday evening. And you're trying to enjoy things the best you can. We have some of these adverse weather conditions right now in toward that area. We just got to be very mindful here of what we're dealing with. We just got to be paying attention, obviously, with the overall Doppler, that overall Doppler perspective. Let's see here, just going between some of our different sources. Okay, we got a new warning now until 8 o'clock toward Perry area. Got a new warning to 8 p.m. There's also now, I missed that one for Marion County. Flash flood warning also in play toward Marion County there. So that just came up here in the last few moments. We're going to jump over to that. That one kind of, came across there on our list here last few moments. We need to get back over. Okay, we got to get back over to the Doppler now. So we got a couple new warnings in there. Potential rapid water rise there is what a flash flood warning indicates toward Marion County. So let's go ahead. We're going to zoom back out. We'll keep watching stuff in Tallahassee. There's a couple signatures. Northern Wakulla there, east of Hilliardville. We have another one northwest of Crawfordville as well. But here's our new severe thunderstorm warning here out toward the east as we get in toward this zone. 8 p.m. Madison, Taylor, and Lafayette. Okay, so the National Weather Service in Tallahassee issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Lafayette County and the Big Bend of Florida, northeastern Jefferson County, northeastern Taylor County, and Madison County until 8 p.m. At 6:42, severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from 7 miles southeast of Monticello to near Blue Springs, moving southeast at 15 miles an hour. Mayo, Madison, Perry, Greenville, Lee, Ebb, Lamont there involved. Let me move this map over just a little bit more so you can see all of it behind me with this warning in play at 8 p.m. Again, tracking this very carefully here. Just all the different spots. Mayo, Madison, Perry, Greenville, Lee, Ebb, Lamont. We have Foley or Foley. I think it's Foley there in toward Taylor County. As we're looking there at Perry Foley Airport area. And then San Pedro Junction, Hampton Springs. You have Sherman. You have Shady Grove there. So again, severe thunderstorm warning in play until 8 o'clock now. As we're seeing, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential here toward this zone. So let's go ahead and look at velocity. You don't see a whole bunch, but there's some here in a little burst. South of Greenville here, west of Sherman. So, add those numbers together, and that gets you maybe 45, 50, and if it's a little stronger down to the surface, maybe it's 60. You just never know here with the overall situation. So, again, just watching this severe thunderstorm warning scenario here as we're looking right now toward Madison County. And then we got the flash flood warning we really need to talk about down here. That rapid water rise potential around Bellevue. Okay, so this is to 9:30. The National Weather Service in Jackson was issued a flash flood warning for south central Marion County until 9:30. At 6:32, Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain there across the warned area. Between 1.5 and 3.5 inches of rain have fallen. Additional amounts there up to 2 inches are possible. Flash flooding either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. Lake Weir, Silver Spring Shores, Bellevue, and Summerfield. So remember, turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roads, as most flood deaths can occur in vehicles. So, flash flooding in small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as poor drainage and low-lying areas can happen here in toward parts of Marion County. So, again, just trying to keep you informed, trying to keep you up to date. We're going to check some things here. I'm going to go to the easy way to see the rain totals, but I think the other way will be a little more accurate. This is already showing 4 inches, though, in the last few hours, which is not good. And even in the last hour, it's showing 4 inches in the last hour on this mode. That's not good at all. Let's see here our dual pole. This is a little less, but I think the 4 inch might actually be a little more accurate this time because we're so far on the radar away. That is very, significant then, according to the other mode, or 1 hour, and then your flash flooding risk is very high according to this. And it's not always showing that on the color table, but just with the overall scenario here, it's right on the edge between high and very high here in southern Marion. So you really got to be careful. Let's get down to street level mapping here as we're updating the best we can. Let's get on in here. Bellevue Heights, some of these areas, Pedro community there. Again, we just got to be very mindful with this flash flooding arrest there. I'm in Rose Corner, Magnolia Avenue. You're on 301 there. Again, a very high, maybe in some spots, but at least it's high based on our color table. A high flash flooding risk here as we're looking at the overall situation. So I know I think we've been working our computer really hard there. I apologize if it's kind of flickering on me a little bit there with my video, but we've been running pretty much straight for 2.5 months here, almost every day. So this computer, my streaming computer, hadn't gone off very much here. I mean, it's been off, streaming, but just it's just I think that's why it might be cutting out a little bit. I needed to reboot on that here pretty soon, but might do one for us, which wouldn't be good if it happens right during our coverage. But we'll come back as soon as we can if that were to happen. But again, I just appreciate everybody tuning on in and trusting me. We're looking, this is northwest of the Dallas community where the worst of this is here, as we're looking at the overall technology. Again, just trying to keep everybody safe and informed here. You're seeing this flash flood warning, this potential for a rapid water rise in toward Marion County here until 9:30 p.m. But that's not why we're just staying on the whole time here, because we have a lot more going on than just that. Toward Alachua County, around Gainesville here, you see some heavy rain there around Northeast 15th Street. This might become a problem. Let's go to our 1 hour on this. I have a different way to go to that. We're going to go through this here. We're going to go through this here. 2.5 in the last hour, according to that in part of Gainesville. That's a lot of rain. So we have to be careful there. We have to be careful with our 2 severe thunderstorm warnings here toward Tallahassee. Toward Perry, toward Madison there, as we're looking at the overall Doppler technology. So, again, I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date here. Just trying to keep you informed. Just really trying to be here for all the different viewers at home here as the situation does evolve. So, again, looks like we have 14 watching on YouTube right now. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in and trusting me on this Friday evening here. Again, trying to be here for everybody at home, looking at the Doppler, looking at our severe warnings around Tallahassee and around I-10 there. Just got to be very cognizant. I'm reminding you guys of the covered area here again. This is out toward Lafayette and out west there with the 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, but in Marion's we have the flash flood warnings. So, again, I'm just trying to keep you up to date here. Just trying to give you guys the very latest here on the overall situation. So, again, just trying to be here. Just trying to be here for you. Just wanting to be, updating you. Going between everything here. Let me go ahead and come back on, though, with the Doppler right now. Again, it's 6:51 p.m. here. On this Friday evening, 6:51 p.m. So we're watching these warnings go for a while here till 7:30 to 8 o'clock. You'll see some different signals on some of these here that we have to be very mindful of here with the overall meteorological picture. So again, we have these severe thunderstorm warnings here in play as we're updating the very best we can. We're just trying to give you guys all those latest details here. Let's go over to the outages. We're going to go ahead and go over to the power outages. Look at Jefferson. It's not going to be many track, but there's quite a few in terms of percentage in the dark there. You see a handful out in Leon and Alachua, even not a warning, but still some adverse weather conditions there as we're looking toward that area. So, again, I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the overall situation. So, again, we're just trying to be here for you. The different counties, the covered area, as things do evolve here. Again, it's all about trying to update you. We're just going to be here for you when we can be. Whenever we need to be. It's not, and we're going to make it certain we can be here anytime. I can be here anytime for you. This is really important to me to be on when you guys have this adverse weather coming on through anywhere in our 38 counties. So, just trying to watch everything here. Just going to check a couple different things behind the scenes. I see Gainesville Airport Or let's see, wait a minute. That's the actual University of Florida area. Got a gust of 48 here at 6:30 p.m. There's some nasty storms coming on through for sure on this Friday evening. Again, trying to keep everybody up to date here. Trying to keep everybody up to date here on the overall inclement weather. Just appreciate everybody tuning in with me. I'm going to go over to the Barron computer here in just a moment, and we'll continue coverage from over there. So just stick with me. We're going to take a quick 60-second break, and I'll go ahead and be off camera for a little bit, try to get some new information that way. So we'll take a break. We'll continue coverage here in just a moment. I'll kind of bounce back and forth. We still got more graphics to get to in the actual show. I can't forget that. We actually have I have a full show in here for you guys, but we need to stick with these severe warnings. So we'll do that here with more, information coming up here as the situation evolves. We're watching things here for you. Watching things here for you in the Weather Center with that Doppler technology. I'll be back here in 60 seconds. In the last half decade or so, our area and the region have been through a lot. Stay safe, but it's going to be memorable. I was there around 4 p.m. to document them. Life-threatening situation here. So, again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. Sometimes Bradford County is a tough spot to see a spin-up tornadoes, so we just want you to go ahead and be inside and away from windows. Can't even completely rule out a quick spin-up tornado, so things have started to escalate here. Please take shelter. This is going to cause a lot of damage. Radar-confirmed tornado in southeastern Georgia. We're seeing areas there around Perry. Bear the brunt of this coming into these communities and ravaging them. That's what we got to get you guys out. You got to run from that water. You got to evacuate. You got to follow these orders. This is as serious of a situation I've seen. This is the eye wall. This is where some of the worst of the weather is. When hazardous weather threatens, trust clouds weather. Back here in the Weather Center now, still tracking these severe thunderstorm warnings and a flash flood warning toward Marion County. So just appreciate everybody tuning on in. I trust in me here on this Friday evening, trying to give you guys the very latest on exactly what's going on. That's what it's all about here on Cloud Weather, trying to give you guys the very latest here. Watching the Doppler, watching the technology, seeing here a lot of lightning in toward northern parts of McCulloch County right now. As we get on in here, maybe a burst of wind energy here. As we get here northwest of Crawfordville, you can kind of see here, just not seeing many roads pop up there, but you kind of get the idea. We're watching the situation. You see western parts of Madison County here. We have the heated advisories coming up, but you see western parts of Madison County. A lot of lightning in here. Let's get down to street level mapping around, it looks like southwest Overstreet Avenue here. Seeing that electrical energy. You see east of Lamont. You see around, it looks like Capps Highway there, Salt Road. Again, I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the situation. Let's get over to Jacksonville right now. We still have that flash flood warning for Marion. I tell you what, Gainesville might get a flash flood warning pretty soon. I don't particularly love seeing all that rain there, come through. This is probably in the last hour, a lot of that's a couple inches at least. But this, at least a flood advisory probably coming really soon down there. But again, we have the potential for rapid water rise as we look here toward southern Marion County. So, again, that's to 9:30 with a flash flood warning there for parts of Marion County in toward parts of our area. Seeing the overall situation here evolve, and then you get out toward the Big Bend here. You get out toward the Big Bend, you see north of Crawfordville. You see some of this wind enhancement northwest of Crawfordville. Again, there's still these warnings, these yellow boxes here on the board. So we're just going to keep tracking them. I mean, I'm off camera right now. We'll try to be back on camera. We'll go ahead and let's go through the actual show a little bit here, because there's just still quite a bit to get to for you guys here that may want to see some of this. So, we do have the tropical weather outlook we've been talking about. Not really any immediate concern. Probably no concern overall with this, but the models have been flip-flopping, not seeing anything too crazy with them, based on what I've seen and looked at earlier on. But, they have not been very consistent at all, whether it's local or global or whatever. So, well, at least we'll keep our eyes on the situation here. I'll continue to watch, but shouldn't be anything, we're really concerned about, at all toward our counties with, which, that's some great news, obviously, as we're updated the very best we can. We're not concerned toward our counties with that. Now, I know some folks, that might have relatives, though, toward Hawaii. There's going to be some concern out there, though, as we keep you guys up to date out. And there you have a tropical storm that might end up becoming a hurricane approaching the Hawaiian Islands there. You see it right as it gets closer, maybe down to a strong tropical storm, but that impact maybe a landfall on the Big Island there. And as such, you do have even a hurricane warning in play for the Big Island if you have relatives out there. Now, it won't last all the way that long. That's just how they do it. But, with the timing. But you see tropical storm warning toward Maui, toward Honolulu, toward areas further west. And the western areas got hit so hard by hurricane. I believe it's a Niki there, if I'm pronouncing that right, back in 1992. 1992, they got hit so hard there with the overall situation. It made a curve back up to the north there, September of 1992. But okay, we got a new warning from the Tallahassee office. So that does include a little bit of Gadsden County now. As we're looking at things, a new warning to 8 o'clock, at least for a little bit of Gadsden County. So let me see here again, just trying to update you. Again, looking at all the different tools here in the toolkit. I'm going to go ahead and click on that there on my other source. So that is going to be a warning till 8 o'clock at 6:57. Severe thunderstorm located at 10 miles southwest of Marianna, moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. It does clip a little bit of Gadsden County. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible there. The Tallahassee warning still for 60 miles an hour on the winds, and same with the warning to the east as well, 60-mile-an-hour potential. So again, just Roy being vigilant about all that here as we update the very best we can. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest information here. Trying to give you guys the very latest information here on the overall meteorology. So again, going back to the computer, see some clusters of lightning that stand out here. You see, we'll go ahead and circle this. I know kind of blends in some, but the lightning is white. I mean, we'll do this in white here as well. Different areas of lightning here, really organized in nature as we're looking. And then you can see here off toward the east. Again, looking here. Again, you see a little bit of wind enhancement, southern Alachua, but then we have this flash flood warning here in Marion. Where, really seeing the rainfall totals add up even in an hour, period there. You see a few inches, which is significant. This makes 4 warnings right now in our area. 3, severe thunderstorm warnings, 1 flash flood warning. So not a great situation here at all on this Friday evening as we're looking at the overall meteorology. So, we're just trying to keep you updated. Stuff all in those, Big Bend counties here are pretty severe thunderstorm warning. And then we have Marion County with that blast flood warning here. Just got to watch out for that rapid water rise potential there as we're looking toward the zone. You have Lake Weir, you have Silver Spring, Soares, Bellevue, and Summerfield. So just making sure they're not upgrading that to considerable or anything. It's still radar indicated right now. So that's, still got to be very careful, but at least that's better than considerable. Because that'd be a step above. It would go off on people's phones as a wireless emergency alert at considerable. Used to the base flash flood warnings did is like, an Amber Alert or a hurricane warning or tornado warning would. But, they don't do that for the base ones anymore. The system, it doesn't. But, the next level up, it will. But again, we're watching, 3 severe thunderstorm warning, that flash flood warning. Again, our friends in Hawaii, though, are going to deal with maybe, hurricane conditions toward the Big Island. So at least we're not dealing with that here. Toward our local zones as we're updating the very best we can, tracking Tropical Storm Lala. That's how you pronounce it there. But as we go ahead and look here more now into toward the information with the temperatures, you can kind of see 102 Oklahoma City, 104 Wichita. It's very hot out west compared to further east here in the overall storyline as we're looking at things meteorologically. So, and then as we go ahead and show you here to see the outlook for tomorrow, the formal 1 out of 5 risk does include part of our area. I mean, it goes well up, I mean, that connects all the way to Michigan. I mean, you see that there in the view, all the way from Michigan to Florida. I mean, it's a little bit, a round turn there. I mean, you can make the argument, it connects really all the way out toward Wyoming there. I mean, it's a small risk, 1 out of 5. This isn't a big outbreak or anything, but, it is a risk there nonetheless with some severe weather potential. It's not, I mean, don't just get stressed out about it like that. It's just still, there's some potential. It's a little late in the year for some of this. Starting to be a little bit, with the heat that's been around so much, that overall pattern's been so stubborn as we're looking at things. And then as we get into future cast, we'll, I don't know why that did that there, but okay, I don't know. I think it was trying to go to future cast on that, and I'm not sure what happened. Okay, I think it skipped over future cast. We're going to try that here. So let's go ahead and put that into our other mode. So we're going to go ahead and get into future cast there. Okay, so we're going to put this into motion now. You see it's trying to stuff go away a lot earlier there than, what probably will happen based on what the radar is showing. But tomorrow it's showing quite a bit bubbling up, probably more than what that's showing here as we look at the overall scenario. So again, just trying to keep you up to date on all that. And Sunday's going to be a little drier, but we still need rain. A lot of these spots here as we look at the overall situation, you see out toward the east there, toward Palm Coast, toward St. Augustine, toward Putnam County there. You see these areas, some of these need rain, but I mean, Stark really still needs rain just because of the last 30 days. It's not enough, but you saw kind of, a glimpse there, and there's, the better view of it, though. Stark in toward Union and Columbia counties here, definitely, got that risk there for that drought. I mean, but our almanac for today, only 1 degree off the record high of 97 there set back in 1900. So again, it's something here where, I mean, keep showing you this information, but it's very pertinent. I mean, we've been so busy that I'll eventually have more stuff here for you guys. It's been so busy the last couple months. Almost every day I've had to cover storms, and that really takes a lot of time up here in the studio. But it's all about trying to give you guys the latest here to protect and inform you, your friends, your family. Tallahassee 1 degree off the record high. They got a 99 today, the high record high 100 back in 2023. I wish it was 65, like in 64. Granted, that was a month before Hurricane Dora hit, our area toward Jacksonville, further, toward that First Coast region. So that's kind of interesting to think about the teleconnection there, if there's any connection at all. There may not be, cooler than normal the month before we had our worst hurricane toward Jacksonville, in the last, at least 125 years. But as we go ahead and look here at the forecast low temperatures there, I mean, we've had another storm week before Dora, I think, in 64. But as we go ahead and look here at the forecast low temperatures there, mid-70s toward Keystone Heights there, and Stark and Lottie, Rayford. I know a grocery store opening there in North Keystone Heights on the Clay County side tomorrow. So that's, pretty exciting for some folks there in different locations there and some different things. Festivities there. Just try to enjoy things the best you can as we look out that way. And then as we get into toward, the broader picture here, the overall scenario, getting in toward our region, mid-70s here, with the situation, sister, rinse and repeat almost. And then as we look here at the Barron 3K, it's not really picking up on our storms either. As we go ahead, and I mean, I feel like every day I keep saying that, and it's not fun. Sowing stuff, for tomorrow there. And then Sunday, sowing more than what I have, and most of the other, the models are they've just not done good here. There's no, no other way to really say that here. The models are just, I don't know if I've seen them struggle this much here. I mean, in more than a decade, to be completely honest. They are just missing everything here. We're just trying to do the best we can in the meteorology community. But as we look here toward Saturday, 97 degrees for that high here. You can see 96 toward Tallahassee. As we look here, just not getting enough data, it seems like, in the models, unfortunately. But you see here just the overall pattern, 89 toward Cedar Key. As we look toward Levy County, that's a little more moderation because of the water, of course, and the general idea of it. And the heat risks can be up tomorrow. Extreme heat risk there for sure as we look towards some of the different counties. So got to be mindful of that here as we're updating the very best we can. So we'll continue to watch that, but let's get back to the Doppler. We have all these warnings here on the board still that we're continuing to track. We'll have more for you in just a little bit with the full show. But again, north of Crawfordville here, we have you have this burst of wind energy maybe around Hilliardville. You may have a burst of wind energy around Hilliardville there as we kind of look at the overall situation. And, you just got to be very mindful here. North of Perry, we're seeing maybe not as much wind, but you see the lightning here southwest of Greenville, southeast of Monticello. We have a flood advisory now, by the way, toward Gainesville till 10 o'clock. Quite a bit of rain down in some of these spots here. There's at least some flash flood risk, but, it's been a little bit higher, more elevated, in some spots, but high in other spots there in the ward parts of Marion County. So, again, just trying to keep you updated. Bellevue Heights there, Monroe's Corner, the Pedro community. Again, a flash flooding risk there in play. Again, we're going to go ahead and go back toward the west, though. Back toward the west here, you see north of Crawfordville, maybe a burst of wind energy. We're just going to have to continue to track all this here. As we're updating you for our different counties. I mean, we're just trying to update the best we can here with the overall meteorology. I'm going to check quite a few things here. So we'll come back to the Doppler. The warning for parts of Gadsden, the movement on that southeast at 25 miles an hour. As we look here, some damaged roof side and trees there. Possibility. Okay, Wakulla, Jefferson, Taylor, Leon, a warning continues until 7:30. That's this one over here. They drive Gadsden out of it. As we're looking at things, and it's a situation here at 7:06. Severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from Florida A&M to 11 miles south of Monticello. They're nearly stationary. So, again, just trying to update the best we can. Tallahassee, Woodville, Tallahassee State College, Florida State University, St. Mark's, Crawfordville, Florida A&M, Doak Campbell Stadium, Wakulla, Lake Bradford, Cody, Shadeville, Leon Sinks, Gaither Community Center, Wakulla Springs, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Rocker Ford Community Center, South City, 8 Mile Pond, and Griffin Heights. So, again, severe thunderstorm warning over here until 7:30. Again, we have this activity here till 8 o'clock, as we look toward parts of, like Lafayette County. And let me check on that statement here. I don't know if there's a new one for that. Yeah, let's read off that warning. Got to see a little while ago. It includes areas there as we look there toward Lafayette, Jefferson, Taylor, and Madison, moving southeast at 15 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and put some of these into motion here over the last little bit. I mean, it doesn't look like they're moving much at all. A lot of training here, which can lead to a flash flooding risk here for sure. So that's what we have in Marion County with the ongoing flash flood warning down there. So I just have to be very cognizant of that. So 9:30, South Central Marion County at 6:32, Doppler indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. Between 1.5 and 3.5 inches of rain have fallen. Additional amounts of up to 2 inches possible in the warned area. Flash flooding either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So at this point, it would have already began, though. Just reading that statement, verbatim. But we look at some of this rain. It's been significant here. Southern Marion County on Summerfield and Bellevue Heights. And there'll be upward to 5 inches of rain there near 301. I mean, I remember going to the Dallas community years ago, joking as a kid, like, this is a really small town compared to Dallas, Texas. I mean, I lived out there until I was 5, that area. It's a lot different, obviously. As we kind of look at things, you see, there are some more homes. I mean, it's kind of crazy to see all those homes out there to the east now because, I mean, that was like 20 years ago and I went right through town. I mean, right in town there's not much, but, just going down there, 20 years ago, there's still not much on the main road, but just to the east, look at all that. I mean, the village is just, getting down to the southeast there, but definitely a lot of growth here, with the geography out here. Maybe it does look like Dallas now. I guess that's what happens in 20 years. As we look here at the overall situation, granted from the main road, you still don't see a whole bunch. There's like a gas station in there, I think. I don't know if that's it, but it was like 20, maybe a little more than that when I was really young going through there. But, a lot of growth there with the villages for sure with the overall geography, and that does, lend itself to some issues maybe with this flooding risk here, unfortunately, in that regard. Still some heavier rain at points, been coming on through it, but starting to lighten up some here, but it's kind of interesting to see there as we look at the overall scenario. So again, we see our 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have this burst of wind energy north of Crawfordville, around the Hooterville community. Just kind of watching the overall trends there. Okay, Tallahassee 713, new update. Let's go to the east. Okay, so this till 8 o'clock. At 713, so the thunderstorm located along a line extending from 12 miles south of Monticello to the Suwannee River State Park, moving south at 15 miles an hour. So we have northwestern Lafayette, central Jefferson, northeastern Taylor, and southern Madison counties, Mayo, Perry, Lee, Ebb, Lamont. You have areas there like the Perry Airport, you have Hampton Springs, you have Sherman, you have Shady Grove, Mosley Hall, you have Boyd, Smith, and Hopewell. So again, I'm just trying to keep you up to date here. We're just going to go ahead and keep looking here at some of our different tools in the toolkit. Yeah, I say it's moving south at 15, which, it's just tricky because everything's kind of bubbling up together. So you don't see a lot of progressing with this, really. I put a track on it. I kind of would hate to put one on here if it's, let's do like 10. We'll move this at about 10. Some of this. So maybe Perry gets into it later in the hour there. The warning goes to 8, so 7:55. That is not too far off here as we're looking at the overall situation. But okay, now here in Bradford County, we're watching for high school football game at 7:30, and we do have a heavy downpour here as we get toward the Plano-Sampson area. We're just gonna, seeing some development there. Gotta watch out for lightning with that. I don't know. Maybe that last game was a little bit more optimistic, but it's not that far from the high school. The high school, we have elementary school, but here's the high school. You see the stadium, a Bradford High School Tornado. That's where we're gonna be trying to play there at 7:30, an exhibition game against Menendez. We'll see if the weather holds out or not as we look at the overall meteorology. So again, I'm just trying to keep you guys informed, trying to keep you up to date. We had all these damage reports to the north earlier on. You see some of them. This is in our area, though. Power lines reported down and power poles reported down. Some information we hadn't gone over because, been so busy. So let's talk about some of these here. Not fun seeing power poles reported down around Thomas County. Power lines down Grady County. You have trees reported down across the county. You had some higher wind there at times as well. And then let's go over them to the outage information. We're going to go ahead and let's go to it this way. Okay, so you see the outage numbers. They're not overwhelming, but definitely noteworthy enough. Grady, Thomas, Jefferson, that's a low population overall. That's going to be counted there. So that's, it's almost 20%, though, as we're looking. We'll go ahead and look back at some of our other modes. If you haven't gotten the rain, the storm acts, and, the temperatures have been up. The temperatures have been up as we're looking here. 82 Stark, 83 Tallahassee, 89 Perry, 90 Cross City. As we're updating you, we're just trying to keep you guys informed here on the scenario. But let's go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. Just going to keep looking here at our scans. See all this lightning here on the board. Let's look at some of these lightning counts. That number's gone up a lot. Lately it's gone down a little bit, but it was on that uptrend for a while there. Some of that's more to the east probably than, right over Tallahassee, but we'll stay busy radar picture on this Friday night with high school football games that were planned as exhibitions. Some of them are going to be, I'm sure, just completely canceled since they're exhibitions here. Some of them will go, though, but some, aren't going to happen because of this weather. I could pretty much guarantee you. I don't have that information in front of me. Some areas we might get lucky here in Bradford. It's going to be a close call. I had 50%, and that seems like that's still about. I mean, for the rain at this point, I still would keep about 50. I mean, that's just 10 minutes from now. I mean, let's just look at this here, how this is formed. Granted, I don't know if it's necessarily moving that way, and if so, then maybe you could say a little bit less than that. But the light, still, if a lightning strike comes, with this here, that's probably close enough to be problematic. Let me go ahead and kind of measure. I mean, you're less than 8 miles away. So, again, I'm just trying to keep you informed the best I can. Let me go ahead and I'm at the computer here, so when I have it set like this, my questions, comments are on this other screen. I have to get up here and look at them, go to that, but I need to go ahead and pull that up. So let me grab this mouse and we'll go ahead and kind of try to look at these here. It's been a little bit since I looked at them, but just appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me on this Friday night. So looks like we have a viewer there, Top Cat talking, high school, some of the bleachers. Obviously they're not safe when we have lightning around. I mean, especially when it's in a certain radius. If you're hearing that rumble of thunder, really, especially if it's within about 8 miles, you got to take precaution. But sometimes at the high school games, you're not going to hear that as much because you have the band going, all the great festivities, the national anthem, really great things going there as we're looking. Just thinking about, this about the time they'd be playing the national anthem there is why I'm bringing that up. Toward David Hurst Stadium there in Ward Stark as we're looking at things at the overall scenario. But again, we're just trying to, be very mindful here of things. I just don't want to be in those bleachers here as we're looking here, if you can help it, at all. I mean, when you have that lightning around, just got to be very mindful of these type of situations for sure. So, the cheerleaders, just all those great festivities of Friday night, football there as we're looking, even in the preseason, the exhibition season. Still got to be very mindful here of these weather conditions. So again, just trying to keep you updated. I know one of these days I'm going to get back out to Bradford High School for a game, but normally most Fridays here this time of year, I'm just too busy tracking storms. Just have to be here in the studio to keep everybody safe and informed, unfortunately. It's all about trying to protect, it's not right here in Stark, but we got to be watching for the 38 counties. So again, just trying to keep everybody safe here. Trying to keep everybody informed. We're going to go ahead and keep looking here at the Doppler. You see all this lightning here, all the electrical energy. Again, you see around Live Oak there. A little bit of wind enhancement there. You have the flood advisory in play. See, 10:15. Again, severe thunderstorm warning. Gadsden there, Leon, Wakulla, Jefferson, Madison, Taylor, Lafayette. We have a flash flood warning there toward the south from Marion to 9:30 p.m. Got a lot of heavy rain and lightning around Gainesville. Archer, Micanopy. Let's put some of these different roads on here. So, communities here too, Wakahuta there, and Kirkwood, and Tacoma, Micanopy. Again, seeing that overall scenario here evolve meteorologically. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get ready to go back in front of the camera. We'll get into some more details here. So again, we just still are seeing all these warnings. They're not going away here. As we have the overall progression. This does go away technically at 7:30. Hopefully it will. But then you have to 8, you have until 8 o'clock there toward Gadsden. So the flash flood warning is even longer, but we wouldn't necessarily stay on the whole time for that. But again, I'm going to get up here from the Barron computer source, and then we're going to go ahead and keep giving you the very latest. I'll be back in front of the wall here in just a second. But just a one-man band, but it's all about trying to give you the latest here. Sometimes I'll have it set up to sit in front of the wall. I've only done that a little bit here, but we know it's going to be really long term. We kind of hope for the best a lot of these days, and a lot of the days they haven't we haven't ended up seeing quite a few warnings here, and having to stay with you for a while is something here. The models have not handled things great, and it's summertime anyway. All this heat, all this humidity building up. We're at 82 right now here east of Stark, by the way. Just looking at the thermometer. A little bit cooler than what I was going with at 7:30, but not by much. As we just try to keep you up to date. I'm going to pull up questions, comments real quick again before I get back on camera. Looks like we have quite a few folks watching right now here. It looks like we have 15 people watching on YouTube right now. Just appreciate the viewership on this Friday evening here as we look at the Doppler technology. So, again, we're always here for you, the 38 counties. Just trying to give you guys everything you need here to try to inform you, your friends, your family, protect you, your friends, and your family. Just trying to be here for everybody. Just trying to be here for everybody at home. We're going to go ahead and let's get back into the Doppler. So here you go. I'm back in front of the wall now. We're still with you as we see the overall progressing here meteorologically. Just trying to be here for you. Just looking at everything. We have all these warnings here out toward Taylor and Jefferson and Leon, even parts of Gadsden. We have the flash flood warning here as I try to point to it, a darker green polygon. So we still have a lot going on here on this Friday evening as we're seeing all the different meteorological elements come together here for some concern. We had a gust of 48 miles an hour in Alachua County earlier. Not any warnings there, but we've had significant flood advisory there in play toward that zone there down toward Alachua County. So, we started off, I said, we're tracking a warning. It ended up turning into a lot more than just one warning. We ended up having, now we have 4 different polygons on the board. Let me see if Tallahassee's, if they're still there until right now. There's been some damage west of there in Jackson County as well, by the way. But, just continuing to track the overall scenario here, just trying to keep you safe. So, just trying to keep you safe here. Just trying to keep you informed. Just looking at everything here, moment by moment on all of our different scans. Looks like 17 people watching on YouTube right now. Just again, appreciate everybody. Let's get back into the actual show. We still have more show to get to, because we've been on for so long now, because we've had to track the warnings. But let's get back into the actual show mode a little bit. Again, that heat rest is going to be a big story before the storms come in tomorrow. A little bit less storm accident on Sunday there, but, a little bit less muggy maybe. Because I have a degree lower for the high, but let's show the heat indexes because it may, show a different story with the different combinations here. So let's go ahead and look as we get towards Stark here tomorrow. You see well into the, 110s, I guess we'll call it here, and 110s, and then we start to approach that. Maybe not quite as much on Sunday, but it's still going to be problematic here as we look and as we update you. Roy got to be paying attention here. With everything that's going on with the weather picture. Again, it's active weather day after day. With the storms, maybe not as much on Sunday as Saturday, but then before, the storms come in, we really got to be watching out for the heat. Just remember, everyone operating on autopilot once in a while. Don't forget anyone in a hot car. Don't want to forget anyone in a hot car. Have a plan, place a bag or other item there in the back seat to remind you of passengers after you park. Place a stuffed animal in the front seat as a reminder there to check for passengers and consider additional methods such as phone alarms, partner buddy check-ins, or the built-in call reminder system. And then that heat safety when working here. Again, as we're updating you on all of that, we're trying to give you guys the very latest here on the overall situation. You just got to drink a cup of water, cool water every 20 minutes, even if you're not thirsty. For long jobs, drink a beverage with electrolytes, take regular breaks to rest. During high conditions, skipping breaks is not safe. And seek periodic breaks there in the AC, if possible, to spend time in the shade when you're outdoors there, if you can, with these dangerous type of heat conditions here that are around. We're just, going to be tracking all that here for you. Really trying to watch it even later on in the month, that above average. The 22nd to the 28th there, above average conditions still going to persist, it looks like. And if you are going to the coast, still watch out for, rough surf conditions at times, there, rough current issues that can arise. But as we go ahead and get in that 7-day forecast, on a Tuesday is election day here. As you can see, we do have a 40% chance of rain on election day. As we're looking at the overall situation here toward North Florida. It's Florida election day, not in Georgia, but in Florida. Tuesday is election day there. And we're going to be, just watching the overall trends there, obviously, with the weather conditions. So, have early voting. Some spots still have that. I don't know the exact details, but I think some spots still have that here. But if nothing else, you have Tuesday there for that actual election there, the actual election day. So that's kind of the storyline with all that. It's going to be hot, though. It's going to be, kind of moist out there with the overall pattern here with some of those storms around. So just have to be kind of cognizant of that here. And you can kind of see the temperature trend maybe a little bit better at points, but we still have to be very careful here as we're looking at the overall meteorology. So again, just looking at everything here. Just to update you, let me remind you guys of the covered area again. I just remind you guys of our different zones here as we try to give you the latest information. Let me check some stuff here behind the scenes real quick. It's just all about trying to keep you up to date. Just trying to be here for everybody. I'm going to go on over here. I want to make sure we don't have any information from the school district. In terms of anything with the football changing around. Hopefully not, but okay, still, nothing new on that. So we'll go ahead and come back over. Let me go back over to the actual 7-day here. And, again, we're looking at the overall scenario here with these hotter temperatures. So, I say hotter, it's been hot, it's going to stay hot. With the moisture, the heat index value is way high there. Just got to be really mindful of these oppressive conditions here overall. So, again, just, as, you got to vote, maybe be careful there. Here, as we look toward our Florida counties, anyway, the election day on Tuesday there, this is, that's what that indicates there. That's you can kind of see a ballot in there if you look real close in that image, as just to give you an idea of voting there on that Tuesday. But let's go ahead and go back on over right now to analysis mode, and we'll go ahead and check here some more about what's going on here on the Doppler perspective. And with you about 2 hours straight, but it's all about trying to keep you safe. I know the one around Tallahassee went away. There's a flood advisory though until 9:15 as we're looking toward Tallahassee and Leon County. So let me see what that's all about here from the Weather Service. I'm going to go ahead and look through that. I know, that's to 9:15. We're watching there some minor flooding possible in Lulon and poor drainage areas. And then still have this warning here for parts of Gadsden to 8 o'clock. See some wind enhancement. See northwest of Sycamore there. Again, we have this yellow box. Again, the overall movement on that, southeast of 25, but let's watch the progressing because it looks like it's going more south with the drifting nature. A little bit of formation east, but a lot of that's more going to be Liberty as we get south, and that'll be, that's more out of our area. This is in our area, though, with the way our area is, and then you get toward the east, though we still have this one in north of Perry. Look at the Vedosta radar. It shows some of this wind really coming into Perry right now, 41 miles an hour here. As we're looking, let's get some of those cameras up. We'll get some of those Florida 511 perspectives up here on this finally Friday. Let's go ahead and we'll kind of go into these here as the situation does evolve. You'll see some darker skies there on Hampton Springs Avenue there. It's, it's gonna be kind of a little scary looking almost, but it's kind of blurry too, which might kind of add to that a little bit. It's going to be a Florida 5-1 perspective. You'll be able to see what we're dealing with here. The dark skies as we get toward US 19/98 at Hampton Springs Avenue. So again, just trying to update you here on the overall situation. You can see folks with their lights on here. Obviously, as we get north sunset, anyway, 8:10 here east of Stark is what I'm looking at. And 82 degrees right now here. Some of these spots, so with the rain around, they can, they'll start to cool off even quicker. With the storm Axon coming on in, like as we're looking toward Taylor County, Perry came in a little quicker than what I was tracking there. Maybe let me check something on here. Let's see. Just kind of seeing that come on in there. That's why I'm not doing too many tracks on these, to be completely honest. These are hard to track here, because I sped up definitely a little bit there with that forward speed in toward Perry and toward Taylor County there over the last little bit. So definitely, during our fall line season, or El Nino from October to April, we're going to have to deal with a situation here where we're going to have, maybe more volatile weather, sometimes even tornadic activity on and off with some of that, but we'll be able to at least track that stuff a lot better with storm tracks. As we look here, still got to be careful whenever thunder roars go indoors. But it's overall, the threat's a little bit lower here, but we still have to be careful. So let's go ahead. Only a couple weeks away from FSU football getting going against New Mexico State. Hope the weather's going to hold out for that, but you never know. Late August, all this heat and humidity we've had, maybe above average still with the temperatures. We did weather trivia the other day, and we're talking about all the, the games that have been delayed by lightning here over the last decade toward FSU. I mean, 6 different ones I was talking about. There's even more than that, but the 6 different examples I was giving you guys over the year, most of those really early in the year. So definitely could have that happen here in late August as we keep you guys informed. Let's see here. US 221 and Jefferson Street. Let's go ahead and pull this view up from Perry there in Taylor County. We're looking at this overall situation as we get out there. Just got to be watching this weather come in, but you see a 40 on the velocity. That is a stark, differential there, a huge difference compared to, what we saw with the hurricane situation. Maybe up to 60 with this, but way, way different than, Adalia, Helene, even Debbie. But let's just remind you guys, I'm going to move away from the camera on this source for now. And we're going to go ahead. I just remind you here, let's just throw it up on the screen. We'll remind you guys of the radar, what Helene radar looked like there back in 2024. I mean, you're never going to forget what happened there in the word Perry from either Adalia, either Adalia or Helene. I mean, Adalia's anniversary is only a couple weeks away, that 3-year anniversary for Perry. But then Helene there, we're going to be in September with that 2-year anniversary as that came on through there as we're keeping you informed. So again, I just trying, saw the velocity, you see the velocity there. Just really outrageous wind numbers, though, and this is nothing compared to that, for 99% of people in toward that area. Maybe a burst of wind energy somewhere knocks a tree down right now, but, that was a historic event. This would not be, a historic event at all, what we're talking about now. But Helene was back in 2024. You saw that birds trapped in the eye there in the correlation coefficient, but I know I've gone through this quite a few times with you. What we talk about afternoon to evening storms and summertime storms in that area, but just showing you how things we're looking at that Doppler technology back in 2024 to different modes there with historic Hurricane Helene. Again, such a just a memorable storm. Once, let's hope. I mean, we had a die the year before, but let's hope it's a once in a lifetime. We don't have another storm like this for 100 years or more toward that area there. As we're looking toward areas around Taylor County and the like. It's just a terrible storm. All that surge coming in toward Horseshoe Beach, toward those zones, even Cedar Key, even though it doesn't look like it maybe it's bad here, it's still pretty bad down there. That surge coming in as well from historic Hurricane Helene. Where, this is nothing compared to that, though. That's the radar from 2 years ago, the velocity modes. And, now on the current radar that I'm about to switch back to, I see there's a new warning, so we'll find out where that is here in a moment. But, saw the birds in the eye there, that was back in 2024, and back side of that, we, things we weren't just, we were just looking at all the damage, but saw the birds there, and then I'll come back on camera. We have this one, and this is, still pretty nasty weather, but nothing like that, obviously. We have some of those winds there. I mean, as we go, different modes of that oscillator, I think maybe showing it better. So 44-mile-an-hour winds coming on in here. This is, still could cause issues. There's still a yellow box, but it's not a hurricane warning, not extreme wind warning like what we saw in 2024. with historic Hurricane Helene. So, again, let's see though. Okay, new warning for Tallahassee. Okay, so let's go right over to airport. Okay, seeing the meteorology come together again. Let's go ahead and see what we have here. Let me go ahead and see what we have. Okay, so 8:15. So at 7:36, a severe thunderstorm was located there near Florida A&M, moving south at 25 miles an hour. So some severe thunderstorm moving south at 25 miles an hour as we're looking at that area. You know, radar indicated damage to roof side and trees possible. Tallahassee, Woodville, Florida State University, Florida A&M, Tallahassee State College there. As we're looking at the overall situation, we're looking at Doak Campbell Stadium, we're looking at Wakulla, we're looking at Lake Bradford, we're looking at Leon Sinks, Gaither Community Center, Lake Munson, Wakulla Springs, Walker Ford Community Center, South City 8 Mile Pond, Callan Neighborhood, Bethel there, Tallahassee Regional Airport, the State Capitol Complex, and Governor Square Mall. So, again, news of a thunderstorm warning at 8:15 for parts of Leon, parts of Tallahassee involved, parts of Wakulla involved in that as well. As we go ahead and get back on in here, we're going to look at the Doppler. You see Ridge Road, you see Tram Road, you see Woodville Highway, Paul Russell Road here. Again, some of the overall impacts. Don't see the wind too much further up, but let's see what the airport has. Any type of wind speed there? Not seeing a whole big, not a huge number there. That's good. We have a lot of lightning around there. Just whenever thunder roars, you got to go indoors here as we're looking at the overall situation. So, again, you saw the warning go away, and now we've seen that, reissuance here because of some of the elements coming together. So let's go ahead, get some cameras up here around Tallahassee then with the Florida 511 perspectives on this Friday evening, on this 14th day of August, 2026. Again, just appreciate you guys tuning on in. Let's go Dewey Street and Tennessee Street. Looks like some pond in the water on the roadway there. It's kind of freezing up a little bit, it looks like. But let's see what we can kind of pull on in there from it. This is right near that construction there, the old University Inn area. Right behind me, they're building that, and you look like some pond in the water on the roadway. Camera's having some issues here as well. So a lot of rain in this area here. I mean, I remember some of these zones here near campus. You could definitely get some of this, rainfall to, cause a little bit of maybe minor flooding. At least it's called pond in the water on the roadway right now. As we're looking, I know that may be flashing for the actual severe thunderstorm warning up there. Hopefully that's what that is. I'm not sure if that's one of the alert beacons because that's a little off campus as far as I can remember. But again, just trying to keep everybody safe and informed here as we're looking at, just back over there's some stuff on campus, but this is more toward the McDonald's stuff. That flashing there looks like it just paused. So I'm not sure if that's might not be anything to do with the campus in terms of an alert system or anything. But there's a severe thunderstorm warning, so they are going to send that alert out, obviously. As it's starting to get in the move-in time frame. I think you can see my mouse there on my jacket a little bit. As just trying to do some really analysis here of the situation though in real time. So again, I'm just trying to keep everybody safe and informed. Let's go ahead. Now we're going to jump away from that for now. Let's see what we can kind of come up with. We're going to look here just a little to the south. This is toward the FAMU area there. You can see this some of the wet conditions there for sure with the overall inclement weather. Let me check when their movement is over there as we go ahead and look. Okay, not quite yet for on campus. Not quite yet for FAMU, but again, going to be soon. I mean, folks moving into off-campus apartments. It's a Friday night. trying to enjoy things, though, and things are not going so well here right now with some of the adverse conditions. So, we're just going to keep you updated. I'm looking at our different modes, just reminding you guys of different counties. Looking toward Leon County with some of this activity coming on in. And that camera did have some pond in the water on the roadway as well. Again, let me see what else I can find. I'm gonna go out to the west on Tennessee Street a little bit. We're going to look for Bard Street and Tennessee Street. We'll see some of the wet conditions. Let's go ahead and get that up. Okay, so there you go. Some of those wet conditions are in that Florida 511 perspective. As we keep you guys informed here on the overall latest information. So, again, severe thunderstorm warning in play here as we're looking, and that goes all the way to 8:15. I mean, some of that's getting more in the McCulloch County, but we got 4 warnings for parts of our area right now. I know, when we're starting that stream off at 5:30, we were hoping maybe it would just be a warning here, a warning there, but we've had a lot of warnings this evening here toward our counties here. Not a formal risk of severe weather, but things can just come together here meteorologically. I think I've said that all summer. I mean, we've had, it happens a lot of summers. Sure, it seems like this summer with the models really, making things unpredictable, maybe not getting the correlation. A lot of times you get a marginal when things, end up turning out like this, but the models just haven't really, so there hadn't been enough model support for it. And here you go, though. We get some of these storms to cause some issues here on, this Friday evening, disrupting some of those plans. We talked about the storm potential for sure. Don't get me wrong. It's just, in terms of getting all these yellow boxes here, you just got to meet a certain criteria. And unfortunately, we're meeting some of that potential here as we look at the overall scenario. I haven't talked about the joules per kilogram numbers too much, but instability, we're talking about 3,500 joules per kilogram. Their surface-based keep in Tallahassee. McCulloch County, almost 5,000 joules. Just all this heat humidity coming together as we're looking. Let me see if I can get a camera a little further south because, toward the airport area. We'll go down there with some of these. Let's go ahead. I'm going to try to get a camera down there. Looks like it's not working, unfortunately. We got one a little north, though. So let's go to Orange Avenue and Spring Hill Road. We'll pull that up. See the situation. Try to keep you informed. Again, just trying to watch things the best I can here. Again, going between some of our different modes. Let's go Crawfordville Road and looks like I can't read that from here. Let's see, Selford Road. Gonna pull that on in, just a one-man band, but you see a lot of that pond in the water on the roadway there in the parts of Leon County here with this overall situation. So again, severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect here at 8:15 for parts of Leon County. So, and let's look at some other stuff here. Let's go ahead and look. And in parts of Union County, seeing a lot of obscure growth. They're supposed to have a game there tonight in Lake Butler. And this is kind of iffy right now. I know it's an actual game. They're not in the FHSAA. They're in a different league now. And we have some stuff here. I don't see the lighting really right there, but you can get one strike right on the edge, and that could be really dangerous. I mean, it could be deadly if you get just one strike here on this periphery. That could not, be a bad situation with people if they haven't delayed that game. So it's kind of in Lake Butler. So let me go ahead and look here, see if we have any word on that. I know the baseball team won the state title earlier this year. That was so exciting for our friends over in Lake Butler. But football season getting going, and gates are open at 6:30, and hopefully the weather's holding out in terms of the lightning there. Oh, we just got a strike. We just got a strike there. Let's go ahead and look. That's getting pretty close. I mean, 10 miles away there. I just don't, this is what really worries me, because some folks have different criteria on this. You get all this heavy stuff, but you don't get a strike. So you say, well, maybe we can continue. And then instead it goes right over you and you get a strike right over that area. That's really worrisome, seeing that they're right in toward Union County. We have the heat advisory for tomorrow, but we have this storm accent, because you can just get one strike here, and then you don't technically have anything within the radius, and then all of a sudden you get that one strike on the edge, and it's right there at the stadium. It can happen like this. Hopefully it doesn't, odds are on our side, but I'm just saying meteorologically you can get one strike on the periphery, and then it could be just a terrible situation. So, hopefully it didn't happen like that. Odds are that it won't. It's just going back decades ago here in Florida, since, I've been in Florida, and, since 2000, I think there was a tragedy a while back downstate with lightning. So let me check here. Lightning and football in Florida. It was a terrible tragedy. Let's see. It was a long time ago. Okay, looks like maybe around 2005 or so, best I can tell. But again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here. We just got to be really mindful here. We have these warnings as we're looking out here. So see this lightning here north of Perry as we're watching the situation there in Taylor County. So, and we have all this lightning here in Tallahassee as well. Just whenever thunder roared, you got to go indoors. Tennessee Street there, some of the different roadways being impacted. Still got the flash flood warning. I'm hearing all this lightning here in northeastern Levy County around Williston there. I just got to be very mindful of that. As we get towards some of these spots, let's pull up some of those different roads here. And I did not mean to do that. Let's go ahead. I don't know what that even does, to be completely honest. But okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep you guys up to date here. I'm just trying to update the very best I can. That's what happens when my hands get tired, by the way, after a couple hours. But it's about trying to keep you guys safe and informed here. Just looking at everything here in the overall scenario. We're just trying to keep you guys up to date here with everything. So let's see what else we have. At least I didn't hit the reboot button like I did last week. So anyway, that's what happens when my hands get tired after a couple hours up here at the wall. I mean, we did have a break from the wall for a little bit. But again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here on this overall meteorological storyline. Again, just trying to be here for everybody. We're just trying to update you. All these warnings still on the board. We still got to be taking precaution, obviously, as we get toward Perry and Taylor counties. So, again, just let's see what we can kind of pull up here. Let's see what we can kind of pull one up. We're going to go over to our other mode here. We're going to get into toward Taylor County. We're going to get to Hampton Springs Avenue again and see some of the slick conditions out there. Again, you see here, just, folks with lights on as they should, have them on here in this type of inclement situation. So, just continuing to keep you guys up to date. Let's go ahead here. You see right in Perry, a lot of heavy rainfall coming down. Let's look at the rainfall rate on that. I mean, this is going to overdo it some, but, if we had the highest rate there, it would be 6 inches in an hour, but you could get a few inches in an hour, is what this kind of indicates to the viewer, indicates to you guys there at home. So, again, just got to be very mindful here. Gotta be very mindful. Just trying to be here for you. Okay, so still got these warnings for a little while longer. I mean, this one for Leon here is to 8:15 and Wakulla as well, and Taylor and Lafayette to 8, and then you have Gadsden to 8. Oh boy, I don't like this lightning here setting up. I hopefully everybody, I don't have any idea on if they're taking precautions or not there at Lake Butler, but that football game there against, the team from Mayo there, Lafayette. Again, that's an actual game tonight in Lake Butler, and we got lightning. They need to be taking precautions right away there in Lake Butler. Lightning precautions early. I know. I mean, I went to a game there one time, actually, Bradford, like well over a decade ago when I was a kid, and I don't know if there's any places to really take shelter. That's not like a FSU type stadium where you have a concourse, so I just have to really get into the car there and just really just hope for the best with the lightning threat in that regard. But I mean, honestly, they might just call it though. I mean, granted, it's a situation here. As we're looking, I mean, it is a regular game, so. I mean, the coach that won all the state titles back in the 90s back there for Lake Butler, coaching for him even, so, that's a big deal, obviously, the first regular game for him, so, it's a tricky situation here as we're looking at things for sure out toward Lake Butler right now in Union County, but this is any word on some other sources here. Again, it's just me. It's not like I have a whole team, so I have to some of this stuff you guys might be able to find really easy. It's just, I'm a one-man band here, so I have to kind of do this on the fly as we're looking at things the best we can, so. See if I can find any information on out. Again, just trying to find out the latest details here. Around Stark, I mean, right now I don't have anything, really close to lightning, thankfully, for our exhibition game here at David Hurst Stadium. But again, I'm concerned about Lake Butler because of the way this is kind of, it's technically within the radius. I mean, some of it hadn't come right over them yet. It is within 8 miles, though, at this point with the lightning. We've kind of had some building that way a little bit, so. Tricky situation. I don't know if it's going to build all the way back in, but the problem is you can all of a sudden get one on the periphery here. And let's see where the stadium is. I haven't put it in the system. I probably need to, but you might be able to find it pretty easy. That might be in. It might be in here somewhere. That might be it. I don't know. As we're trying to look here, not 100% sure, but I mean, I think it would stand out some. But it might have been a time of year when they were redoing stuff when this got taken. I don't know for sure, but just the idea here. Watching that potential, obviously. We got to watch that for other areas too. It's just, I can't keep up with every single game going on in our 38 counties, especially exhibition games here tonight. So, but, just obviously, if you have thunder rumbling in that area, take precaution wherever you are. Again, as we get toward Perry there, though, and toward parts of Taylor County, again, we're continuing to give you guys the very latest here on the situation. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments here on this Friday evening. Don't see anything right now, but 15 are watching on YouTube. Just appreciate everybody's viewership here. If you guys have any questions, comments, just chime in. I mean, just if nothing else, if you feel comfortable, tell me where you're watching from here on this Friday evening. Just appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll try to help you guys with your local forecast. If you guys tell me where you're watching from in terms of, our local viewership, at least, being able to give you that, forecast information. But even if you're watching from other places, tell me where you're watching from and everything, and I'll give you a shout out here on the air. But again, I just appreciate everybody tuning on in nonetheless as we go ahead and I'll go into the Doppler view. It looks like they dropped the warning again for Tallahassee, so that's a good trend here. Looks like we've seen that kind of weaken off some. But you see a lot of lightning around Crawfordville and toward parts of Wakulla County here as we're looking at things, as we're updating you. Just trying to give you guys the very latest here on this Friday evening. Okay, so we still have the warning out, Western Gadsden. We have the Perry warning. We have the warning there toward Marion. But, what about those other two warnings? Those might be about to go away. Let me see. So this one goes for a while to 9:30. But let's check these warnings out here. And I may need to keep the radar going even after we go off for that lightning stuff towards some of these high school games. I'll make that, determination here soon. But, okay, we still got a warning for Lafayette and Taylor to 8. And then Gadsden, it's going to go away at 8. But we haven't got, I don't think either one of those have been officially expired out yet. So they could still get extended in theory as we keep you guys informed. So let me see who's watching here on this Friday evening. If anybody wants to comment, feel free here. If you want to comment in, as we're all looking at the overall situation, just appreciate everybody tuning on in. As we're updating the very best we can. So if you have any questions here, weather-related questions, feel free to ask them here on this Friday evening. Just appreciate everybody's viewership, obviously. Let's go ahead here. I'm just going to keep looking at some of our scans. I know it's right there on State Road 100, just south of there. I mean, we have some of that lightning, on State Road 238 more than anything, but it's only a couple miles from State Road 100. See parts of Taylor County, just whenever thunder roars, go indoors. It's got to be careful. Saw some of these reports here, toward like Thomas County. Power poles reported down earlier on. That's why we've been with you for so long. Stuff like this. Power lines reported down. Trees reported down there around Grady County and across Grady County. Here's some rainfall reports to our south here. Marion County, Bellevue, 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain in just an hour earlier from 5:30 to 6:30. And then about 2.5 inches around Silver Spring Shores in just 1 hour. That's why we had that flash flood warning issued, that potential, that rapid water rise there. And we still have that warning there in play for a while longer. So, it would look like. Let me make sure, though, because did that just go away, too? Because I saw something go away. Did they drop it early? They could have, because it's a lot lighter now. That'd be a weird time to do it right when I'm talking about it there. But let me see. Let me check the statements here. Okay, flash flood warnings canceled for South Central Marion at 7:59. Flood no longer expected to pose a threat, but if there's any road closures, make sure you're continuing to heed those. Severe thunderstorm warning around Perry. We're not seeing that anymore either, or the one to the west. So we all of a sudden lost all of our warnings, which I'll take. But we still got to watch out for this lightning. Still got to watch out for this lightning. And the scattered trees were down in Jefferson County from the storm activity. So, normally any other day, but Friday night, I would go ahead and just wrap it up. We wouldn't even keep the radar going. I'm going to stay with us at least a few more minutes here. I'm just concerned about some of this lightning impacting some of these high school games. And then we'll see if we need to keep radar going beyond that here. We'll kind of, I was hoping maybe it would be a situation where we wouldn't have, any warnings or any. And then maybe we would start a radar stream later if the situation required. But we were in high school football time because we've had so many warnings here this evening with the overall scenario. So, and you have to declare their app in the interim for all this. But, just not fun weather there in the Lake Butler vicinity. Seeing some heavy rain starting right toward the high school there now as we get toward Lake Butler. As we're looking at things in toward Union County, this outdoor event on a Friday night, people being impacted by the adverse weather conditions. So, heavy rain at least. So, got to be aware of that. We had a tree down along the side of Wakulla Springs Road earlier. So, there's storm activity. So, we're going to keep you updated. If we need to pop back with another warning or some really pertinent information, we will. I am going to keep the radar going. We're going to have to do this a little differently here in a way, than I normally do for a cloud weather broadcast. I'm going to like to wrap them up so people can just watch the update, back. But we've been in severe for so long anyway. I mean, let's see the 7-day, at least if you're sticking with me this long. I've said it a couple times. We'll show it to you guys again. It's going to be hot as we look ahead here in the overall scenario. You can see the temperatures here in toward the mid upper 90s. I lowered them just a little bit, but that humidity is going to be around. Those heat indexes is so oppressive there. It's not what you want to deal with, that mugginess, that muggy, nature here. I'm going to see if we have some updates on some of our heat alerts as we look ahead. So far, no extreme heat warnings for our area for tomorrow. It's the heat advisory, but we're going to keep watching the trends here based on what I'm seeing. But as we look ahead, you see it's 96, 97, 98. It's just going to be oppressive. It's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy here. It's not going to be fun. You see these temperatures. I mean, but also the rain chances still up some with the overall, it's just going to be, swampy out there. So, again, just trying to keep you up to date here on the overall situation. Again, generally, I'd wrap up here, wrap the stream up. I think we need to keep the radar going a little bit, though. So, let me just see if there's any more questions, comments. It looks like we have a viewer there, CB 4720 there from the St. Augustine area, enjoying my local coverage. Appreciate you tuning in down there towards St. Augustine area in St. Johns County. Let's look down there toward that zone here on the Doppler right now. You can kind of see in toward that zone. It's pretty clear right now, and hopefully it'll stay that way for the rest of the evening for any of the football games going on. You saw some action kind of retreating from the Hastings area there on the Doppler view as we're looking down there towards St. Johns County. I'll pull up our model here because it had picked up on some of this action. You see how it's not really so much for the evening there at least. But of course, in the days ahead, we'll be watching the trends, obviously, with the Doppler technology. But again, just kind of, seeing a nicer evening there. But I appreciate your viewership from St. Augustine and St. Johns County there as we look toward our First Coast region. But again, let's go ahead and see here what the Doppler looks like on the broad perspective. Let's just kind of look here, at Crawfordville. See some of that getting off the coast there. Sometimes we have to spend more time out there because you have more of the storm activity, that's more robust in that range, in that part of our area. It just depends, hour to hour, day to day. I mean, in our squall line setups, generally the stuff will be a little bit stronger west, but not always. Not always, but still watching stuff toward Union County. As we look there, again, we're watching. Let me see if there's any word on that game. Heavy downpour over it, if nothing else there now, in toward the Lake Butler area. Again, just trying to keep you up to date on that here as we're looking toward Union County. Seeing what I can trying to see what I can find out about that. Let me see. There's another way I can look this up. We're not normally on the air when I'm looking up like scores, but I can just try to look up the score there. So let's go ahead and do it that way. Looks like Union County had taken a lead in that game, but I don't know if they're in some type of delay at this point. Again, trying to keep you up to date. Just trying to find out here what's going on over there. Again, appreciate everybody tuning on in. Just hope everybody taking precautions there with that lightning within 8 miles. A heavy downpour right there, right over town. So let me just see if we have anything new here. We don't have the warnings anymore. They went away, but we still have lightning, maybe towards some games or where people have gathered, outdoors toward, metal bleachers, things like that. I mean, not so much here around Stark are we concerned at the moment, but Lake Butler's a different story. And other spots in between, some games here and there. I mean, if there's games around Lake City, it depends on what part, but you see lightning, in that vicinity of rain. It's not fun, but technically you can play through rain, with football. It's not like baseball, but if you have lightning, that's a problem. And it's close enough there around Lake Butler where they need to be taking precaution. You see some lightning here. I mean, this one flashing right there. Last 60 seconds. Probably just getting to the card, the best move here. I know, because there's not really a concourse or anything like that there. That I would think. I mean, I don't know that stadium that well. I went one time years ago, but I mean, we're within a 6-mile radius here of the stadium there with that strike in the last 60 seconds. It's don't know if it's clouded ground, but again, I just need to be taking precautions there on Lake Butler as we're looking in toward Union County. So there's only so much I can say about that, but we're gonna leave the radar running because of that situation. Let me just kind of figure out how I want to orient this because it's a little bit of an odd situation because we have other games, that could be going on. People want to see the radar for as well, or trying to go on, but having a delay. So let me see what I can do with this. So there's a way we're going to make Lake Butler a lot bigger than normal here in our system. So I can keep Lake Butler on our map, or try to anyway. It may not work exactly, but we're going to try it. We have the heat advisory, sure, as we look ahead in the timeline. But there's a way to, if you guys know about weather systems, there's a way to make this a lot bigger here. So then hopefully it'll stay on our map. Unfortunately, it takes dark away, that's why I don't do it like that normally. But I think it's honestly, I think we need to leave it like that for now because of that game being there. I hate to have Stark off the map temporarily, but that's just a way that we need to do this right now because of that actual game there and a bigger threat toward Lake Butler and Union County with the electrical nature. Not severe weather, just the lightning. I mean, the wind energy is not much on that. If everyone was inside, it wouldn't be a problem, but we don't have an indoor stadium there. The high school stadiums around here aren't like that, obviously, but not much wind energy in that. It's just the lighting that we're concerned about. Really heavy downpours. I mean, it's you can get sick maybe, from just getting soaking wet and going in air conditioner or something. But it's not something where we're concerned about that. But we're concerned about the lighting, obviously. So again, that's why I have Lake Butler big right now in here because we're concerned about that lightning. Let's make sure we have it on the right radar. We're going to take it from that view. And we're going to loop it here over the past hour. So that's going to be the radar view here. That's going to be the radar view as we're kind of looking at things overall for now. And we're going to leave that running for everybody so they can kind of see what's going on. Looks like we have some storms up there, north of Savannah. Some problems, not for our area, but you can kind of see them in the frame. As we kind of tilt this. Just want to try to get everybody in our area in this here. And I could do this off camera, but we need to tilt up just a little bit more here so we can get our northern periphery, like, Pierce Brantley area in there. So that kind of leaves you the view there for now. And if we need to pop back in, we will. If we get more warning, they'll be back with you, don't get me wrong. But generally wouldn't leave it running for this. But because we have people outdoors for high school football, I feel like it's in our best interest to keep this going for the viewers. If you have the app as well, of course, and lightning alerts. But just so you guys can kind of see what's going on, you can watch the lightning count. I mean, it's going down. But, we need it to be 0. I mean, some of that stuff in South Carolina on this because of the angle. But, it's not 0. It's not anywhere close to 0. So we need, the people to still be taking precautions, depending on exactly where they are here in the overall 38 counties or, even outside of the 38 counties. If you hear that thunder, go indoors. So, again, just to appreciate everybody tuning on in here on this Friday night. I'm going to leave the stream running, though, on all the different platforms with the radar running on this Cloud Weather Extended Edition. Hopefully, we won't have to break back in, but I'll be back here if necessary. Let's remind you guys of the different counties here in the area. Again, appreciate everybody tuning on in. Hopefully, I don't have to break back in, but, I'll be here if necessary, and we'll cut back into the stream. But, again, that's kind of the storyline for now. You see where Union County is with the overall topography. I'm in Bradford County again. I don't want to take Stark off the map, but we want to focus on Lake Butler there right now because of that game. And toward Union County, that's been, been tried. They tried to did start playing it. Union County with a lead there early, apparently, against Lafayette there out of Mayo. You see Lafayette on the map. They traveled to Union County for that game there. So that's kind of the storyline there with that, as we're monitoring things very carefully, just trying to keep you informed, trying to keep you up to date. We'll go ahead and go back over to the radar. We're going to be here, watching the trends. And I'll pop back in if it's warranted. But otherwise, stay safe. Just whenever thunder roars, please be taking precautions. And just try to enjoy things the best you can. I know just, whenever you hear that rumble of thunder, you can't be out, especially within 8 miles here. You really got to be taking heed of this adverse weather here. Just really seeing everything come together here with the different elements. So, again, just that electrical nature of things we got to be careful with. But stay safe, enjoy things, just try to enjoy things the best you can. I'll be back here if it's warranted. Otherwise, have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow if it's necessary as well with that marginal risk for part of the area. So, again, we'll just continue to watch things and update you here if it's necessary. But just going to leave this with no audio running. Leave it running here, no audio. Thanks for tuning in.